Chapter 1040. At this moment, the nine-colored rainbow bridge had begun to dissipate. Host has activated 20 types of blue intermediate ultimate skills. 76 targets have been locked on. Initiating bombardment. Lin Shun waved his hand, and a slowing rune shot out. While the prodigy's attacks were slowing down, he pulled Shun Ling Shuang and spun around like a dragon. Boom! The prodigy's attacks collided and exploded, but they missed. Then, violent thunderclouds, tornadoes, giant wind blades, and a sea of fire enveloped the 76 attacking prodigies. The prodigies were dumbfounded. He actually had a killer move that could even trap a saint, and there were so many of them. Although the power was not as strong as the previous wave, it was still a devastating blow to anyone below the saint stage. What was more terrifying was that these attacks could not be avoided. No matter what techniques the prodigies used, they could not avoid being locked on by these attacks. No, don't! Big brother Lin Shun, stop using the divine power. We know we were wrong. The prodigies frantically begged for mercy when they felt the aura of death. Lin Shun could not be bothered with these noisy fellows. He stepped into the air and grabbed the glowing orange scroll in front of everyone's eyes. The orange-grade combat technique was Lin Chen's. From the perspective of combat techniques, Lin Shun did not have any combat techniques that could be considered orange grade except for the Genesis Holy Scripture that he had comprehended after breaking through. They were all half orange grade or infinitely close to orange grade. They all relied on the ultimate moment, the charging rune, and other methods to raise their combat techniques to the critical point. Who would have thought that the Black Horse Club would be the final winner? Do you still remember his maniacal laughter when he encountered the two Jade King Scorpions led by Sun Moon Hall? So he had already started planning back then. He had included all the sacred beasts, including Sun Moon Hall. The prodigies watched the 76 prodigies gradually disappear under the destructive attacks. They could not help but feel their hair stand on end. We have underestimated him. This young man's ambition is far beyond our imagination. But why did he keep such a powerful trump card until now? Why did he take the risk to provoke so many sacred beasts? Could it be that there are some prerequisites to activate it? We all let down our guard. He was able to kill his way to Qilin Island while being chased by more than a dozen Sage Realm experts. We all thought that he had run out of tricks because of this, but who would have thought that he would only use his trump card now? On the bloody plains, the 2,000-plus geniuses sighed. Who would have thought that the final winner of the Rainbow Island would be the Black Horse Club? At that time, almost everyone thought that they were the ones who had lost the most. They were completely suppressed by Sun Moon Hall and 100 Saints Gate. Then, Lin Shun did something even more shocking. He transmitted his voice to all the geniuses present using his battle chi. Everyone, I've already said that it's time for the Black Horse Club to rob. Hand over everything you've stolen from the nine-color rainbow bridge. Otherwise, I don't mind killing all of you. I believe that you all know that I have this ability. His words stirred up 1,000 waves. He actually wanted to rob everyone. Crazy. He must be crazy. However, before the geniuses could escape or question him, the sacred beast finally broke free from the sure kill skill. Orient Yao had already been reduced to a pile of ashes and floating ashes. There were also a large number of attribute light balls. Kid, give me back my 8-stage sacred beast core. How dare you trick me? Die. Almost instantly, the primordial golden eagle, the blood demon wolf king, and the Empyrean holy shark charged toward Lin Shun. Snap! Lin Shun snapped his fingers again, activating blue rank sure kill skill, demonic wind. Targets available. 3. Starting bombardment. Kaboom! A huge dark green tornado that was hundreds of feet long rose into the sky. The tornado surrounded the 3 sacred beasts, releasing a powerful force and sharpness that could crush mountains and veins. The dark green tornado instantly enveloped them, and a new round of torture began. They had to use all their defenses before even getting close to Lin Shun. Hiss! Seeing this, even the 4 sacred beasts did not dare to act rashly, let alone the geniuses. The remaining 2,000 or so geniuses were all rooted to the spot. No one dared to escape. Everyone was stunned by Lin Chen's move. This move was too terrifying. How many more moves did he have? A powerful attack might not be that scary. However, an unavoidable attack was a real nightmare. It was a nightmare that could not be escaped even with a sacred spatial item. This meant that death was inevitable. None of the geniuses dared to gamble with their lives. Now, I say that this is a robbery. Who agrees and who disagrees? Lin Chen smiled mockingly. He alone suppressed 2,000 geniuses and 4 sacred beasts. Oh my God, I'm not dreaming, am I? What a monster! Prince Lin Chen is really the first person in history. How domineering! Who could rob all the geniuses in the past? Even the treasures on the Rainbow Bridge are being taken by him. All the women in the heart-refining palace stared at Lin Chen's back with fanatical and worshipful eyes. Apart from the sounds of energy explosions, the only thing left was the wails of the 76 geniuses. Now, I can tell you clearly, not only the Rainbow Bridge, but I also want all the treasures you've obtained before. A harmless smile appeared on Lin Chen's face, but his voice caused everyone to feel as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. Outrageous, too outrageous. How big was this Lin Chen's appetite? Could it be that he wanted to take all the treasures on the Rainbow Bridge for himself? Those who don't hand them over will die. If you don't believe me, you can give it a try. Lin Chen raised his finger of death again, and everyone trembled. Those geniuses who wanted to take the opportunity to escape immediately gave up on the idea. Compared to the treasures on their bodies, their lives were more important. Following this, all the women in the heart-refining palace witnessed an unforgettable moment. Lin Chen pointed out over 500 geniuses from over 2,000. These geniuses had all obtained the treasures dropped by the Rainbow Bridge. What was even more mysterious was that some of the geniuses tried to hide their treasures, but all of them were discovered by Lin Chen. The reason was very simple. All of the treasures on the Rainbow Bridge were extraordinary items, and all of them had attribute values attached to them. All of the treasures that appeared in the storage rings of the geniuses were treasures that contained the Rainbow Bridge, and all of them were dug out by Lin Chen with unerring accuracy. Could it be that Prince Lin Chen was paying attention to the treasures during the battle just now? Or does he have the ability to see through storage rings? This is too amazing. All of the women gasped in amazement. Received 3810 advanced battle chi essences, 2909 advanced health points, 7 advanced fire element energy, 5 advanced water element energy, 1299 enhancement points, 11 intermediate talent points, 18 advanced rune energy. After robbing all of the geniuses, Lin Chen obtained a large number of attribute values from the treasures on the Rainbow Bridge. Furthermore, of the 76 geniuses that were killed by his sure kill skills, 71 of them died on the spot, and the attribute values that they dropped were even more varied. This was especially true for Orient Yao. As long as his sword lived, he would live. As long as he died, his sword would be destroyed. Lin Chen burned the holy sword that was parasitizing Orient Yao's body alive until it was destroyed, and a large number of attribute light orbs fell from it. As for Orient Yao, just as he was about to be tortured to death, Lin Chen's clone, Zhendok Shui, gave him a quick death. The most powerful prodigy of the current generation of the 100 Saints Gate had fallen. Lin Chen then used the Stealing Omen talent on the 2 Saint-tier Jade King Scorpions, stealing 30,000 points of high-grade health points and 300 points of high-grade rune energy respectively. The remaining geniuses of the Sun Moon Hall were protected by the 2 Holy Scorpions, and Lin Chen didn't intend to fight to the death with them. There were still a large number of saints waiting for Lin Chen outside, so he would save as much of his sure kill skills as he could. High-grade battle chi essences soared all the way. Lin Chen was gradually approaching the 5th tribulation. At this time, Lin Chen didn't know that the outside world was in chaos because of him. Chapter 1041. This was probably the most aggrieved battle the sacred beast overlords of the Rainbow Island had ever experienced. Their trump cards had been stolen, and they didn't dare to move even though the person was right in front of them. Moreover, the person was a kid who hadn't even reached the saint realm. But that kind of unavoidable attack was a nightmare. Apart from the Earth Netherworld mystic holy turtle, who had the strongest defense, no one was confident that they could withstand 4 or 5 of those attacks without being injured. The sacred beasts weren't harmonious. They coveted each other's vicious beast cores. If they were seriously injured, they would naturally become the prey of the other sacred beasts. The sacred beasts were clear about this, and they chose to retreat for fear of breaking the vases. An hour later, the blood plains returned to silence. The geniuses dispersed, and the sacred beasts retreated. Prince Lin Shun, the heart-refining palace, can't accept this gift. When Jiang Yun took Lin Chen's storage ring, she was horrified and hurriedly returned it to Lin Shun. If you don't want it, then you're not giving me, Lin Shun, any face. Lin Shen smiled and pushed the storage ring back. Inside were 5 scrolls of 8th-grade pill recipes for saint-level pills, many cultivation methods and battle skills, 8th-grade rare ores, several top-grade alchemy hand seals, and 2 saint artifact forging scrolls. The value is simply too high. If you feel uneasy, then I'll tell you a secret. The trump card I used just now can only be used after I snatched Nangong Mie's storage ring. So, in the Battle of Sun Moon Hall, your contributions were indispensable, and you deserve this reward. After Lin Chen's explanation, the girls of the heart-refining palace accepted it. After seeing Lin Chen's method of suppressing the sacred beasts, it was difficult for them to feel that they could help him. Lin Shun then gave some pills and rare treasures suitable for Shun Ling Shuang and Ning Qing Xian to the 2 girls. Even among the 5 sacred weapons obtained from the fallen geniuses of Sun Moon Hall, he gave 4 to the 2 girls. Shun Ling Shuang had a pair of saint-level gloves, the 9-layered barbaric dragon gloves, and a pair of blazing 9 continents wind-fire wheels, which could increase one's agility and attack power. This would be very important to Shun Ling Shuang's future. Ning Qing Xian received 100 treasures holy gourd, which had many auxiliary effects, as well as the 8 exquisite mirror, which had powerful defensive abilities. While taking stock of his harvest, Lin Shen couldn't wait to open the system. Heavenly Dao Possession System version 6.0 host. Lin Shun, cultivation, for Tribulation Combat Emperor, high-grade essence, for 81 million points limit strength, 97 million dragon power dragon blood 5. 48 million advanced spirit attribute, for 1,129 points, half-step saint, advanced cultivation technique, 8,811 rune energy, 3,381 points, 3,381 divine, rank intermediate heavens path points, 3227, intermediate talent points, 5411, blank attribute, 700,000, strengthening points, 1,390,000, advanced elemental energy, 3,724 points fire, 3,211 points earth, 3,500 points wood, 3,666 points metal, 4,386 points water, 3,299 points lightning, 3,344 points wind, 2,665 points light, 2,997 points dark cultivation technique status column, open. Bloodline status column, open. Passive talent column, open. Killing technique column, open. Active talent column, open. Characteristic rune column, open. Talent combination skill, open. All his elemental attributes had increased by more than 1,000 points. Lin Shun didn't even dare to think about such a number in the past. He had robbed many geniuses this time, which was equivalent to obtaining all the attribute light balls from the treasures of the Rainbow Bridge. Including the Sun Moon Hall, he had killed more than 100 geniuses, and more than half of them were super geniuses. The attribute light balls he had obtained were immeasurable. In addition, Lin Shun had also broken down the hundreds of odd crystal fragments that the Sun Moon Hall had painstakingly collected. His harvest was unprecedentedly bountiful. Orient Yao is the best among the super geniuses, and the Nangong Mie can crush any super genius at will. Although I was able to fight with the Nangong just now, I still had to rely on the power of my orange talent. But now, perhaps I don't need to use instant light division shadow, ultimate moment, and charge penetration to fight against a genius like the Nangong head-on. Lin Shun let out a long breath. Compared to before he entered Rainbow Island, this strength was like the difference between heaven and earth. Only the top 10,000 geniuses on the genius list could threaten him. Those geniuses who were called monsters. At this moment, Jiang Yun asked curiously, "The 9-color rainbow bridge should be the last rainbow bridge. According to the rules of Rainbow Island in the past, the teleportation exit will descend in about 7 days. What plans does Prince Lin Chen have?" Lin Chen nodded. "I plan to find a place to repair my sacred artifacts." Lin Chen's Azure Moon, Qing Tian Sword, and Rank 8 Spear Embryo were not complete sacred artifacts. He now needed to repair these sacred artifacts and let them return to their heyday or forge them into their complete form. With Lin Chen's strength, he could barely control a complete sacred artifact. After leaving Rainbow Island, there would be a huge battle. He had already planted the seed and was waiting for it to blossom and bear fruit. We are also going to refine the recent fortuitous encounter and head to a suitable blessed land for us to cultivate in seclusion. We will meet again on Qilin Island. After all, with our current strength, the help we can provide Prince Lin Shun is minimal. Jiang Yin smiled and Lin Chen nodded. They extended their hands and shook hands. "See you on Qilin Island." Both parties parted ways. At this moment, Lin Chen glanced at the system. Orange tier, active innate skill, God Slayer. 3,105 Fifth Tribulation Combat Emperors who are hostile to the host. Purple tier, active innate skill, Sovereign Descent. Accumulated energy, 274 million points. Lin Chen's lips curled up slightly. In a valley on the north side of Rainbow Island, the remaining geniuses of Sun Moon Hall had resentful looks in their eyes. Sitting on a mountainside, the geniuses of the 100 Saints Gate were full of decadence and powerlessness. "It's not over yet. Lin Shun, our senior brother Evil Moon, is still waiting outside. You dared to kill senior brother Nangong Nye and many other disciples. Senior brother Evil Moon won't let you go." 2 hours later, Lin Shun arrived at a quiet and beautiful waterfall. Just as he was about to refine the spoils of war, something strange happened. The demonic seal on Lin Chen's palm started to flicker with a faint light. "This is..." Lin Chen looked in the direction of the waterfall. He sensed the aura of the demon clan. This waterfall seems to be the Water Curtain Cave. Ning Qingxian also felt strange. The waterfall was shrouded in a thick mist of water, which made it seem like an ordinary waterfall. Maybe there are more treasures. "Master, let me do it." Shunling Shuang giggled and punched out with her delicate fist. Her dragon force surged, and the wind from her fist exploded the water curtain. In a vast underground world, 10 demon statues stood there. Their demonic aura was monstrous. They were like demon saints, dominating the world and immortal. A young man with a sword on his back sat cross-legged in front of the demon statues. In front of the young man was a dark red ancient mirror. The strange thing was that this ancient mirror was absorbing the aura of the 10 demon statues, making the demonic aura of the ancient mirror stronger and stronger. The dark red ancient mirror emitted an aura that was as deep as the abyss, just like the eye of the demon cave in the Jiuzhou continent that day. Bang! When a deafening vibration came from outside the underground world, the young man suddenly opened his eyes. Where did this idiot come from? Instead of snatching the treasures of the Rainbow Island, he came here to court death? A trace of cold, killing intent flashed across the young man's face. There is an underground world under the Water Curtain Cave? How magical! Where is this place? When the woman's surprised voice was faintly heard, the young man in linen clothes took a step forward with his sword. His figure flashed and disappeared. Lin Shun came to an underground world that extended in all directions. It looked like an underground world that had been artificially created. There is the aura of the demon clan in front. I can feel the demonic seal left by the demon clan's experts on my body. Lin Chun was more and more shocked. Suddenly, an extremely obscure, killing intent flashed. Slow rune. The grayish-white rune shot across the sky. When it exploded, a snow-white sword light froze. When the sword light slowed down, Lin Chun quickly pulled out the azure-bright moon and slashed across the sky. Bang! The sword light dissipated, and Lin Chun retreated. The person who launched the assassination was slightly surprised. What a fast sword! Lin Chun's hair stood on end. Chapter 1042. You want to kill me as soon as we meet? Are you jealous of my handsomeness? Lin Chun smiled casually and released all his clones. He activated his 8 layers transformation and ultimate moment talent to protect Ning Qing Xian and Shunling Shuang. You trespassed into a place you shouldn't have. You deserve to die. As the cold voice sounded, the other party stabbed out again. The snow-white sword light was like an aurora in the dark night. The moment one saw it, death was already upon them. Although Lin Chun was on guard, he was still shocked by the speed of the sword. Lin Chun, who had strong spiritual power, reacted quickly. He instantly cast another slow rune to slow down the sword. At the same time, he slashed out another attack mirror. Bright as the moon, the saber aura spun like a mirror. Bang! The saber aura and sword light dissipated, and both parties retreated. This person's swordsmanship is very strange. It feels like it can travel through the void. Normal methods can't block it at all. Even if I react, I can't keep up with his sword. Lin Chun narrowed his eyes. This opponent was even scarier than the Nangong Mia. Finally, under the illumination of the fragmented moonlight, Lin Chun could see his opponent clearly. The youth in linen held a sword in his hand. He had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, and his aura was steady and condensed. He was like a swordsman who trained hard in the mortal world. However, the murderous intent between his eyebrows made him seem a little cold. This youth in linen was the mysterious swordsman who defeated a super genius in one strike in the top 10 of the Heaven Roll, Ling Jian. He was the only dark horse to fight his way into the top 10 of the Heaven Roll from the top 30,000. It's him? I didn't even see him when the Rainbow Bridge appeared. Could it be that Ling Jian has been here ever since he entered the island? Lin Chun narrowed his eyes. You can actually take 2 strikes from me. Looks like those trash outside can't compare to you. Ling Jian was indifferent to the extreme, like an emotionless sword. My name is Lin Chun. Your Excellency Ling Jian should have heard of my name. With your strength, why don't you go out and fight for treasures? In terms of one-on-one combat, no one should be stronger than you. As long as you make a move, you will definitely gain something, right? Why come to this damn place? Lin Chun smiled lightly, took 2 steps back, and gave Ning Qingxian a thumbs up. Ning Qingxian understood his intention. She flicked her finger, and the green water droplets fused into the skulls of Lin Chun and all of his doppelgangers. Their battle chi circulated at an even faster speed. Then, she immediately left with Shunling Shuang, while the other 2 doppelgangers covered them. Lin Chun could feel that even if Shunling Shuang fought with this person, she would have almost no chance of winning. His swordsmanship was very strange. If one wanted to defeat him, they could not rely on numbers. My master is unparalleled under the heavens. Why would I need to compete with those trash? And you will also be buried here. After killing you, I will go and kill those 2 women and the others. Ling Jian sneered. He pulled out his sword and stabbed forward. A black and white sword light pierced towards Lin Chun. His sword was an ordinary sword, a top-grade Tier 7 sword. It was not even at the peak of Tier 7. But this sword was still ridiculously fast. It was as if it had jumped through space. Boom! 2 grayish-white talismans came down from the sky. One talisman suppressed the sword, and the other sealed the person. Clang! Lin Chun slashed horizontally with his saber. His saber force was like a crescent moon. The saber light shattered the sword light, and the saber aura did not diminish as it flashed out a bright saber light. Bang! Hundreds of sword lights exploded from Ling Jian's body like a rain of swords, piercing through the restraints of the slowing runes. Die! He raised his sword and swung it. The sword aura was like a dragon. A faint rainbow flashed and pierced through the dragon-patterned sword aura. It was Lin Chen's doppelgangers. He was not arrogant enough to challenge Ling Jin one-on-one. The orange sword light slashed horizontally like a rainbow piercing the sun, forcing Ling Jian to block it with his sword. Rip! Lin Chun aimed his saber at Ling Jian's head and slashed vertically. The crescent-shaped saber aura illuminated the entire underground world. Boom! The saber aura swept up dust and sand. Ling Jian was unscathed. Lin Chun and the three doppelgangers formed a group and attacked Ling Jian one after another. Saber light, sword light, and arrows flew. Suddenly, a section of the dragon tail slashed out. Lin Chun even released the Dragon Emperor. 4 people and 1 dragon attacked Ling Jian relentlessly. He blocked all of them with his strangely fast swordsmanship. No wonder he defeated a super genius with 1 strike. This strength far surpasses the geniuses outside the top 10,000. Lin Chen's pupils trembled. The more he fought, the more shocked he became. He was now able to fight one-on-one with the Nangong Ye, who could easily crush a super genius, even without using instant light split shadows. The doppelgangers were the same as the main body except for the lack of Holy Phoenix wings. Even with their flawless teamwork, they were still unable to take down Ling Jian. There was no doubt that Ling Jian, who was at the 5th tribulation realm like the other geniuses, was already at the level of the top 10,000 geniuses. His strength far surpassed all the geniuses who entered Rainbow Island. 3 illusions, pinnacle sword, annihilation, heartbroken hell red, mirror moon imperial god. The fierce battle lasted for more than 500 rounds. Both sides revealed their trump cards one after another. The battle was so intense that the entire vast underground world was on the verge of collapse. Ling Jian could not take down Lin Chun with all his strength. Similarly, Lin Chun and his doppelgangers used instant light split shadows, but they could not break through Ling Jian's swordsmanship either. However, the power of the penetration rune caused him a lot of injuries. Overall, Lin Chun had the upper hand. After dozens of rounds, both sides separated. You and your people are really monsters. You are only at the 4th Tribulation Combat Emperor level, but you use the power of an orange tier combat skill and that instant light split shadows. For the first time, Ling Jian's indifferent face showed a change of expression. This was the first time he was afraid of someone of the same age as him, since he had acknowledged his master. Same to you. I think you are more like a monster. Lin Chin smiled casually. His eyes became more serious. He did not want to waste any more talent points after failing to take down his opponent with instant light split shadows. It seems that I can only use the blue tier intermediate ultimate skill. Although it is a bit wasteful to use it on one person, this guy is too difficult to deal with. Just as Lin Chun was about to use the ultimate skill, a ghostly cold voice echoed in the underground world, startling Lin Chun. Ling Jian, you took half an hour. I can't wait any longer. The moment this voice appeared, a violent energy fluctuation appeared in Lin Chen's peach blossom plant pouch. Little dark shadow had awakened. When Ling Jian heard this, his whole body trembled. He, who had always been cold and arrogant, immediately cupped his fists respectfully and said, "Master, please wait a moment. Has this little guy finished his secluded cultivation? He is much stronger than before." Lin Chen glanced at the peach blossom plant pouch. Little dark shadow had already awakened. At this moment, it was baring its teeth at the outside of the peach blossom plant pouch, like a raging beast. "Little guy, calm down. You can't come out." Lin Chen comforted little dark shadow in the peach blossom plant pouch as he quickly retreated. A young man slowly walked out of the darkness. His face was pale, and his body was thin. He looked like a scholar without the strength to truss a chicken. However, his pitch-black eyes were as deep as a bottomless pit. It was as if they contained a vast world. Lin Chen only looked at him for a moment, and he almost lost himself in the young man's eyes. He turned pale with fright. However, what shocked him even more was that the purple-black shadow that flowed around the young man's body was like an evil dragon coiled above the young man's head. The purple-black shadow emitted an aura that had the nobility of the dragon clan mixed with the demonic energy of the devil clan. It also had the characteristics of the dark shadow. This was not the first time Lin Chen had seen such a creature. Could he be? Lin Chen's expression became more and more shocked. Chapter 1043. Possessing the genes of the demon, dragon, and innate dark shadow. Wasn't that the ultimate dark shadow cultivated by Tuo Sheng? According to Tuo Sheng's notes, the ultimate dark shadow cultivation program ended at the 15th stage, which was Lin Chen's little dark shadow. In the end, Tuo Sheng also fell in the 14th stage of the ultimate dark shadow. Apart from the little dark shadow, there was no other dark shadow in the sacred boundary that possessed the bloodlines of the dragon, demon, and innate dark shadow. It was the 14th stage of the ultimate dark shadow. This guy is the ultimate dark shadow. Lin Chen was shocked. No wonder the little dark shadow reacted when it saw Ling Jian, and now it reacted even more violently. You can't beat him. Even among the geniuses I've seen, he's one of the few. More importantly, he has some tricks up his sleeve that I can't see through. The young man waved his hand, and Ling Jian immediately retreated behind him. Lin Chen couldn't help but take half a step back, ready to cast a high-energy slow rune at any time. If this was really the 14th stage of the ultimate dark shadow, Lin Chen knew that he was no match for it. Even an earth-shattering figure like Tuo Sheng had been killed by it. After such a long time, its strength might be even more terrifying than the sages in the outside world. Human boy, I'm very interested in you. Do you want to be my servant? If you become my servant, I can guarantee that you'll definitely become a sage in the future. I can even provide you with orange battle skills and orange mental cultivation techniques. How about it? The pale young man smiled. Lin Chen's eyebrows twitched a few times. Big brother, do you think I can do it? If you give me orange battle skills and orange mental cultivation techniques, I'll immediately betray the Black Horse Club. At this time, Lin Chen's doppelganger, the Shintoku Sho, deliberately sent him a message to test him. Of course I won't carry orange battle skills and orange mental cultivation techniques with me. That'll have to wait until you become my servant. The young man transmitted his voice to the Shintoku Sho. He was very interested in Lin Chen's group. If that's the case, then there's no room for discussion, Shintoku Sho teased. Suddenly, Lin Chen asked, "You're Ling Jian's master? Who are you?" Orange tier mental cultivation techniques and orange tier combat skills are the pinnacle of cultivation techniques. How can I believe that you have them? Lin Chen recalled that according to Tuo Sheng's records, before his death, his sacred body had been possessed by the ultimate shadow. In other words, this young man was most likely not his original body. It might just be a shell. If it was his real body, Lin Chen believed that he might not be a match for him, even if he was at the sage realm. Who am I? Ha ha! I am the noblest existence in the sacred boundary. Ling Jian's good fortune was created by this seat. You have already experienced his sword techniques before. The reason why he is so powerful is because this seat has modified his bloodline. You only have two choices. 1. Become this seat's servant. 2. Die here. Lin Chen stretched out 3 fingers and smiled. 3. I'll kill the 2 of you and continue to be the most handsome man in the sacred boundary. Since you don't want face, then die. The young man sneered, raised his hand, and clenched his fist. A purple-black shadow condensed into 5 fingers and clenched furiously. The moment the shadow spread out, it actually froze the space. It made it difficult for Lin Chen to retreat an inch. Chi, a slowing rune shot out and intercepted the palm. The moment the attack was slowed, Lin Chen threw out the 9 tribulation star with all his strength. The 9-colored starlight was divided into 5, and its power was far stronger than before. Like 5 gorgeous auroras, they bombarded the young man. Boom! 5 9-colored light pillars suddenly bloomed. This time, they didn't trigger an earth-shattering aura. Instead, they quickly canceled out the shadow palm. Ling Jian was deeply afraid. If Lin Chun had used this move just now, he definitely wouldn't have been able to take it. Even the young man in green was stunned. Although this palm wasn't enough to deal with a saint, it was more than enough to crush some 5 tribulations geniuses. Interesting, the young man in green was about to throw out a second palm. Boom! 2 thunderclouds exploded above their heads. Something's wrong. The young man in green's expression changed slightly. The green lightning suddenly exploded, turning into a bolt of lightning as thick as a python, and struck the top of their heads. Ling Jian and the young man in green tried to dodge, but they were shocked to find that they couldn't dodge this attack. Boom! Boom! Bang, bang, bang. Violent thunder echoed throughout the entire underground world. The thunder's power was beginning to crush the entire underground world. What kind of attack is this? Even my secret technique can't move us out of the thundercloud's attack range. The two of them were instantly bathed in the green lightning. No matter how powerful their movement techniques were, Lin Chen's intermediate blue rank sure kill technique, green falling thunder, followed them. Oh no, this mortal body can't hold on any longer. Finally, under the bombardment of the green lightning, the young man in green's expression changed slightly. Although he was powerful, this temporarily possessed body might not be the same. Ling Jian, the wisp of aura I left in this human's body is about to dissipate. You must guard the sky-devouring mirror to the death. If the mirror exists, you will live. If the mirror is destroyed, you will die. The young man in green's body was cracking, melting, and collapsing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ling Jian, who was wearing a silver cloak, gritted his teeth and said seriously, "Master, I will definitely bring the sky-devouring mirror back." Boom! As soon as Ling Jian finished speaking, the young man in green exploded into a pool of blood and disappeared in the lightning. The wisp of dark aura in the young man's body also disappeared with the destruction of the body. Just as Ling Jian saw that the thundercloud's aura was gradually decreasing and thought that they were about to overcome the crisis, he was overjoyed. As long as the thundercloud dissipates, with my ability, I will have a chance to bring the sky-devouring mirror away, even if I'm severely injured. Do you really think you can survive? Lin Chen smiled faintly and snapped his fingers again. Thousands of wind blade-like tornadoes swallowed Ling Jian like a giant beast. He was shocked. You actually... Lin Chen smiled coquettishly. I still have dozens of such unavoidable attacks. I guarantee you'll be satisfied. Ling Jian's mouth twitched. You King. Don't worry. I'm a very honest person. If you don't die, I'll wash my hair upside down. As for that sky-devouring mirror, I'll definitely take good care of it for you. But if it can't reflect my handsomeness, I'll destroy it with one punch. Lin Chen's smiling face made Ling Jian seethe with anger. In the end, under the torture of 2 blue rank sure kill techniques, Ling Jian finally died under the wind blades. Lin Chen also received a sage-level cloak and a large number of attribute light balls. Received 3,290 battle aura essence, 34 cultivation technique essence, 11 talent points, 13 rune energy, 9 spiritual power. After collecting the attribute light balls that Ling Jian dropped, Lin Chen opened the orange crystal treasure chest that Ling Jian had dropped after his death. Buzz! Inside the orange crystal treasure chest, brilliant lights shone everywhere. When it opened, an orange-red key floated inside. Chapter 1044. Lin Chen's jaw dropped. Set function? His God of War bracers were actually the next function of the system. This function is called a set function. Could it be that there are other parts? For example, the God of War greaves and God of War armor? Lin Chen was overjoyed. Looks like the secret of the God of War bracers can be unraveled in the next version. After suppressing the excitement in his heart, Lin Shun rushed to the deepest part of the underground world and saw the 10 demon statues. These 10 demon statues are pure demons. Lin Shun was shocked. He used his purple gold eyes to pry into the secrets of the demon statues, but he found that he couldn't see through these demon statues at all, as if they were the corpses of demons. Even his spiritual power was like a clay ox entering the sea. He couldn't see through the demon statues' essence at all. These demon statues are formed from the fall of real, top-notch demons. Lin Shun was shocked. When he came to this conclusion, he was almost certain that these demon statues were at least comparable to saints when they were alive. Perhaps they were even stronger than the average saint. Rumble. At that moment, the underground world began to collapse continuously. Due to the aftershock of the sure kill skill, the underground world was about to collapse. I can't move these demon statues. I don't have time to study these things. Lin Shun flashed past and took away the dark red ancient mirror on the ground. This ancient mirror emitted a dark and terrifying demonic chi, as if it had absorbed all the demonic chi in the 10 demon statues. This is the sky-devouring mirror that guy was talking about. Miraculously, because of the demonic seal on Lin Shen's palm, Lin Shen wasn't corroded by the demonic chi. Lin Shen also found that the ancient mirror couldn't be placed in the peach blossom plant pouch or storage ring because the demonic chi was too strong. No matter where it was placed, the internal space would collapse. Boom, boom. Lin Shun smashed the falling boulder with a punch, flapped his holy phoenix wings, and rushed out of the underground world. However, something unexpected happened. The sky-devouring mirror that Lin Shun had placed in his arms suddenly changed. TSK. The devil chi was like an evil dragon that was growing and rampaging. It actually surged out from the heaven-devouring mirror. Not good. Lin Shun was shocked. Just as he was about to throw away the sky-devouring mirror, he found that the violent and ferocious devil chi had condensed into a vortex-shaped funnel and was rushing into the devil's seal in his palm. When the devil chi fused with the devil seal, it was like a flood dragon entering the sea, swallowing the devil chi for thousands of miles. Streams of evil dragon-like, demonic energy burst forth, and the demonic sound lingered, shaking Lin Shen's spirit. Shit, this demonic chi is so tyrannical. How can I suppress it? Lin Shen's heart thumped. The night wind was as cold as a knife. The dark figure sitting at the head of the hall suddenly opened his eyes. He opened his palm, and the jade fragments scattered like sand in the wind. Is Ling Jian still dead in the end? Forget it. I'll find a new servant. The sky-devouring mirror was most likely taken away by that kid. I've already memorized his aura. Even if he escapes to the ends of the earth, he can't escape from me. The problem is his background. If he gave the sky-devouring mirror to those people, he hid in the darkness, and a cold, demonic light rose from his eyes. In the next moment, a wave of fury shook the horizon, and the clouds in the outside world split open to form a shocking chasm. What's going on? The demonic chi of the 10 great demon kings that I absorbed from the sky-devouring mirror has been taken away? Isn't that kid still on Rainbow Island? Rainbow Island, outside the waterfall. Sister Qing Xian, is Master okay? That person seems to be very strong, and I feel that there's more than one person in that cave. Shunling Shuang's face was full of worry. She had a bad premonition. Perhaps it was because of her bloodline, but Shunling Shuang was somewhat repulsed by some existences in the underground world. Don't worry, your master has encountered all kinds of crises. The problems inside can't stump him. Ning Qingxian smiled elegantly. Just as she finished speaking, a light flashed from the west. It was Lin Shun. Hey, master, why are you here? Shunling Shuang was surprised. Lin Shun smiled and said, Nothing, I was playing hide-and-seek with the people below. Ning Qingxuan's beautiful face flashed with a trace of worry. She smiled and asked, Is it settled? Lin Shun nodded. Yes, it's a very troublesome guy, but it's settled. After saying that, a trace of bitterness appeared on Lin Shen's face. The opponent was settled, but the devil chi of the sky, devouring mirror, was absorbed into his devil seal. If Lin Shun hadn't used superdimensional teleportation to escape at the last moment, he would have been buried inside. Damn, the devil chi is so terrifying. It was all absorbed by the devil seal that woman of the demon race left for me. Even if I can't sense anything now, it's impossible that there's no change at all. I can only use the fastest speed to enter the Saint Realm and see if I can crack this thing. Lin Shun temporarily put down the worry in his heart and smiled at the two girls. Okay, the threat here has been eliminated by us. Let's go into seclusion here and cultivate well. The three of them sneaked into the water curtain cave and each found a place to begin their seclusion. Lin Shun didn't know that the outside world had been turned upside down because of him. Rewind time to a few hours ago. On Kirin Island, the geniuses and saints were shocked again. A large number of names on the genius list began to dim, and then the names of many geniuses rose up. This proved that a shocking change had occurred on Rainbow Island, causing the geniuses to fight to the death. There must be a drastic change on Rainbow Island. Otherwise, the geniuses wouldn't fight to the death so crazily. More than a dozen geniuses have already fallen. The light of hundreds of names has begun to dim, and many geniuses have been seriously injured. Suddenly, a genius's eyes narrowed as he discovered something abnormal and exclaimed in shock. No, look, a large number of geniuses have also fallen. Whoosh! The holy light golden list began to scroll, and a large number of names began to dim. Even the geniuses of Sun Moon Hall began to fall. What? Senior brother, Evil Moon of Sun Moon Hall's expression suddenly changed. Then, the names of the geniuses of the 100 Saints Gate also rapidly dimmed. Even Orient Yao's name was like a candle in the wind, and Nangong Mie's name even dimmed and disappeared after a tremble. Many geniuses took a deep breath. What's going on? Even the geniuses of 5th grade sex were falling rapidly? Even a genius like Nangong Mie had fallen? Could it be that he had encountered a saint beast? Buzz. Two brand new names replaced Nangong Mie's and Orient Yao's names. 10,088th on the genius list, God's Descent, Lin Shun. Sect, Black Horse Club. 10,099th on the genius list, One's Only Jundak Shuai. Sect, Black Horse Club. Seeing this scene, countless geniuses opened their mouths wide. It's the Black Horse Club again. Chapter 1045. Oh my God, he's really fearless. He even dared to kill the geniuses of the 100 Saints Gate and Sun Moon Hall, and he even killed so many of them. This grudge is set. The Sun Moon Hall and the 100 Saints Gate are extremely far from the southern region. Ordinary saints won't be able to reach Kirin Island in half a month. It depends on the attitude of the saints who brought them here. I feel that the Black Horse Club will be besieged to death by the saints as soon as they leave Kirin Island. The discussion among the geniuses exploded. The storm came wave after wave. Nangong Mie fell, and then more than 70 geniuses' names disappeared and dimmed in a very short time. In the Shintoku show, Zhendang and the others from the Black Horse Club were all on the list. Countless geniuses felt their scalps go numb. F*CK, this Black Horse Club has really gone crazy. The saints' expressions were even more interesting. How many years had it been since the Sacred Boundary had such a shocking genius who challenged the rules? Like the raging wind before a storm, 3 holy lights shot out like sharp arrows, piercing through the sky and reaching the sky above Kirin Island. 3 saints arrived at the same time? Among the 3 saints, one was the Chun family's patriarch who was angered by Lin Shun to the point of vomiting blood. Oh, you guys from the Chun family are here too. Lien Wanjin chuckled. The tiger-eyed man in the lead had a cold and domineering expression as he said calmly, "This kid destroyed my Chun family's million-year foundation. The sacred flame pearl on him must be returned, and my Chun family want to share the secrets of this kid, to compensate for my Chun family's loss." Ha ha ha, no problem. We only want his secret technique and the plant of providence. Lien Wanjin pretended to laugh. but a trace of fear flashed through the depths of his eyes. The secret pavilion and the others exchanged glances. They felt that the more people there were surrounding the Black Horse Club, the better. After all, that kid had too many tricks up his sleeves. Whoosh! 2 more rays of holy light, like crescent moons, suddenly descended beside Lien Wanjin. 2 azure-robed men arrived on their bright, jade-like flying swords. One of them nodded at Lien Wanjin. "President, the sacred binding rope is here." Lien Wanjin praised. Very good. Now those little bastards won't be able to escape." Many of the geniuses were stunned. These 5 saints had actually come for Lin Shen. However, the storm had only just begun. Giant bears, ferocious flood dragons, cheelants, and heavenly lions tore through the clouds with overflowing hostility. Roar! The giant beasts roared angrily at the sky, shaking the minds of many young geniuses. Their eardrums hurt so much that they felt like they were going to burst. Endless waves were stirred up in the sea. There was a human figure standing on each of the giant beasts. Their auras were brutal and bloodthirsty, as if they had descended from ancient times. Today, this saint wants to see who dares to kill the geniuses of my man Yu. The eyes of the geniuses became more and more shocked. These giant beasts seemed to be condensed by holy Qi. Another 4 Saint Realm experts. A Saint Realm expert from Manyu. Their auras are too powerful, as expected of the saints of Manyu. So brutal. I heard that the elites of Man, you have been fighting with some powerful Saint Realm beasts on the front lines for a long time. If it wasn't for the spatial barrier protecting Chilan Island, that roar just now would have killed countless of us. While many of the geniuses' teeth were chattering, Seiji Fuzumi and Saint One Brow's expressions became more and more serious. There were more and more saints surrounding the Black Horse Club. The situation might be out of their control. Moreover, there were more than 200 veteran saints in the void. Although most of them stayed behind the scenes and wouldn't make a move, there was no guarantee that these old fellows wouldn't make a move because more of their own disciples were killed. The situation isn't good. If there's a big battle, we won't be able to protect the little ones from the Black Horse Club. The king of Fu Saint Nation said solemnly. Poison Saint Yu nodded his head, and a serious expression could be seen on his face. That's not the worst. The 100 Saints Gate and the Sun Moon Hall are the most affected. Even though they're located far away from the southern region, and ordinary saints wouldn't be able to cross over in a short period of time, it's a different story if a 4th Heaven True Saint is present. Yu Qingli asked anxiously, "Father, what's with the 4th Heaven True Saint Realm?" 4th Heaven True Saint Realm. One of the grand elders from the Fu Saint country interjected. His voice was filled with awe and respect as he continued. "Lass, there are strong and weak true saints as well. Furthermore, within the true saint realm, there is almost no such thing as challenging those with higher cultivation levels. The 4th Heaven True Saint realm is one of the most important thresholds for saints. Even if there's only one of them, those brats from Jundak Shui will definitely be suppressed. It doesn't matter what trump cards they have." The king nodded. "That's right. There are more than 20 saints surrounding the Black Horse Club now, but these saints can't even defeat a 4th Heaven True Saint." Whoosh! At this time, another ray of holy light descended. There were more saints outside Kirin Cloud Island. However, this time, there were a few old men who were leisurely. They didn't look murderous and seemed to be enemies of the Black Horse Club. "Ancestor, you're finally here?" Mo Qing gave a deep bow. Divine Flame Palace in the back garden. The beautiful woman in red robes crossed her legs, and the corners of her mouth curled up into an interested smile. "Bloodbath on the prodigy ranking? Interesting. Lin Shun, if you can't even pass this test, then you don't have the qualifications to talk about being worthy of the Divine Flame Palace's saint genius of this generation." While the outside world was bustling with activity, Lin Shun was peacefully cultivating in the Water Curtain Cave. Consumed 1,620 mid-grade Heaven's Path points. Decomposed 312 tier, 8 rare ores, 588 tier, 8 natural treasures. Obtained 1,612 lightning energy, 1,701 fire energy, 1,799 metal energy, 1,743 water energy, 1,882 wind energy, 221 spiritual power, 1,092 dark energy, 80,000 high-grade battle chi essence. Lin Shun had decomposed all the tier 8 rare ores and natural treasures that he had obtained from the 9-colored rainbow bridge. The speed at which his elemental attribute points soared was shocking. His elemental attribute points soared by more than 1,000 points. If it was in the past, he wouldn't have done such a thing. With his strength as a Saint-grade weapon forging master and Saint-grade alchemist, given enough time, he could bring out the best value of these Saint-grade rare ores and 8th-grade heaven and earth treasures. Forging several Saint artifacts of excellent quality and finished Saint pills was definitely not a problem. However, he didn't have the time now. The hidden pavilion and a large number of saints were already waiting for him outside. He didn't think that these saints were fools. If they couldn't take him down in the previous battle, people like the Chun family's Saint Realm Patriarch would definitely not let him go. The saints would definitely continue to gather helpers. The scale of this battle would definitely surpass any of the previous ones. Lin Shun had to go all out and use all means possible. If he lost, he would be doomed eternally. Chapter 1046. In the blink of an eye, 1 day and 1 night had passed. Lin Shun and his doppelganger had absorbed a lot of attribute points. The best thing to do now is to increase my elemental attribute points. The God Slayer talent can increase my cultivation, but it can't increase my elemental attribute points. This is my foundation. The better my foundation is, the stronger my God Slayer talent will be. Lin Shun let out a breath. The heaven-defying talent and extreme God possession talents have yet to be collected. Looks like I'll have to rely on the combination of the God Slayer talent and the God of War gauntlet if I want to kill my way out of the encirclement of the Saint Realm. Lin Shun's consciousness entered the peach blossom pouch. He placed the azure moon and the sky raising sword into the mountain of silver Saint Origin coins. Billowing silver auras began to merge into the 2 Saint artifacts. Lin Shun placed a pile of gold Saint Origin coins in the center. Lin Shun, who had robbed many geniuses and Saint beasts, had 7,290 gold Saint Origin coins. Together with the silver Saint Origin coins, he used them to repair the Saint artifacts at the fastest speed possible. Then, Lin Shun placed more than 20 tier 8 embryonic pills next to the pile of silver Saint Origin coins. He continued to absorb the silver Saint Origin coins to strengthen himself. These embryonic pills had been carefully selected by Lin Shun. There were healing pills, support pills, recovery pills, and so on. He estimated that these embryonic pills would become Tier 1 Saint Pill embryonic pills. Lin Shun flipped his palm, and a blue bow floated in the air. The bowstring was jade green, and the bow was like a bright moon. There were 2 bright jades inlaid on the bow's tip. The Saint Bow was like a bolt of lightning. This Saint Bow was one of the rare treasures that had fallen from the 9-colored rainbow. It had begun to have spirituality. After Lin Shun suppressed the Saint beasts, the Saint Bow fell into Lin Chen's hands and stopped resisting. Most spirituality items in the mortal world pursued the strong. Lin Shun had used his strength to gain the Saint Bow's trust. Lin Shun bit the blood on the tip of his tongue and dripped it on his blood. The Saint Bow didn't resist much and accepted Lin Shun. Lightning Holy Bow, Azure Imperial Lightning. Coincidentally, my lucky feather archery skill is lightning and light. This bow suits my needs. My archery skills will be multiplied. Lin Shun sized up the heavenly Azure Imperial Thunder Bow with great satisfaction. Fortunately, my mental power is no longer what it used to be. It won't be too much of a problem for me to support another Saint artifact. As for Ling Jian's armor, I can only put it aside for now. Lin Shun exhaled and buried all the Earth Essence red crystals under the long Qing Shu before forming a hand seal. The Earth Marrow red crystal was the lifeblood of the dark Earth mystic Saint Turtle. This item was born 90,000 meters underground and could only be found near the core marrow of the Earth. It was a natural wonder that could only be found near the core marrow of the Earth. It was extremely rich in Earth elemental energy. It could gather spiritual energy in 1,000 years and crystallize in 10,000 years. It could nurture Earth elemental holy chi. A palm-sized Earth marrow red crystal was worth as much as a first-grade sacred pill. As for Lin Chen's Earth Essence red crystal, it was 2 meters long and 3 meters wide. It was extremely valuable. This treasure is just right for me to nurture the Earth elemental odd crystal. After Lin Chen buried the Earth marrow red crystal under the long Qing Shu, he chose a good place to plant the 4th spirit plant of luck seed. Thinking back to when I first arrived at the sacred boundary, I never dared to think that I would have 4 spirit plant of luck seeds. Lin Chen sighed from the bottom of his heart. The 4th spirit plant of luck seed had a greenish-blue color and was quite mysterious. Lin Chen couldn't see its origin and could only nurture it until it reached the seedling stage. Then, Lin Chen clicked on Fusion. System, if I were to fuse all the techniques I have at this stage, what is the probability of fusing an orange technique? System answer host. Host currently has 87 types of top purple techniques and 18 types of half orange techniques. Probability of fusing a specific type of orange technique, 21. 72%. Probability of fusing a random orange technique, 33%. Lin Chen was taken aback. So low? A sect that could take out 18 and a half orange technique scrolls was one of the best among the 4th grade sections. This was usually a 5th grade sect with a strong foundation and dozens of top purple technique scrolls, but the probability was only 1/3. Damn, don't tell me you're cheating me. Lin Chen was speechless. The probability of 1/3 was too low. If the fusion failed, it was equivalent to hundreds of millions of Silver Saint Origin coins going down the drain. Forget it, I'd better play it safe. I'll cultivate this orange tier cultivation method first. Lin Chen took out an orange scroll and his eyes flashed with passion. This was the orange technique of the 9-colored rainbow bridge. He wondered what the legendary orange tier battle skill would be like. System, consume all the technique essence. I want to learn this orange technique scroll. Consume 1 point of advanced technique essence. Fusing the cultivation memories for the host. Orange technique has a hard cultivation requirement. If the host can't meet it, the host can't cultivate it. Lin Chen was stunned. What was this? 1 point. The sacred burial mountain range stretched from north to south. It was like a winding dragon that stretched for millions of miles. The sacred burial mountain range was the intersection point of the southern region, flame region, and yellow region. 200,000 years ago, a shocking sacred war broke out in the sacred burial mountain range. A large number of saints started a war there. The cause of the war was unknown. The saints of the 3 regions kept quiet about this war. Flame region, Flame Mountain. The flames were like an ocean, boiling and burning among the mountains. At the center of the mountains was a blazing sun. The sun was formed by a figure releasing battle chi. The sacred burial ruins will open again. I have a feeling that the geniuses aiming for the monster ranking have begun to gather near the 3 regions. The figure sitting cross-legged in the center of the sun spoke slowly. Back then, I personally went into the sacred burial mountain range. I didn't expect that the old man's array was still there. If a human saint barged in, there was a high chance of death. That array feeds on saint blood and absorbs saint chi to maintain. The sun emitted waves of flames, as if it was afraid. It's not easy to take what the Saint King left behind. That old man wants to start 100 saint battle again and absorb saint blood to revive himself. He's going against the heavens. Now that the saints have seen through that old man's technique, only humans below the saint realm can avoid that array. However, the saint beast inside can't be resisted by anyone below the saint realm. Ordinary war emperors are courting death. My disciple, are you confident this time? The old man in the sun opened his eyes. His eyes were like a pair of burning suns. Opposite the old man was a handsome young man with sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. He leaned against the cliff and whistled. Master, you're putting me in a very difficult position. After all, the sacred boundary is no longer what it used to be. The top 10,000 geniuses of a genius ranking are equivalent to the bottom of the monster ranking tens of millions of years ago. All of them have surpassed the War Emperor realm and are as strong as a group of monsters. I heard that some of them can fight saints for dozens of rounds before they become saints. Damn, it's too terrifying. The old man nodded in agreement. Indeed, the times have changed. The geniuses born in the sacred boundary have become stronger. Then, he stared at the handsome young man who was frivolous. You're also one of those monsters. Chapter 1047. In the Heavendo Star Forest, the power of the stars was extremely strong. It was a good place to borrow the power of the stars. The young man sat there cross-legged. When he opened his eyes, a faint golden light flashed past, giving birth to a supreme sword intent. Everything in the Heavendo Star Forest moved instantly, as if it had turned into the tip of a sword. By borrowing the star stones and immortal phoenix feathers from the Starlight Palace, not only have my injuries healed, even my strength has improved slightly. This young man was Lin Shun, who had fought with Lin Xingqian. I wonder when I will be able to find the rest of the Crimson Divine 7 Damask. Lin Xingqian opened his palm, revealing 2 pieces of crimson satin. Looking at the 2 pieces of crimson satin, a trace of fatigue flashed across his face. If Lin Shun saw the crimson satin in his hand, his expression would be very interesting. Because Lin Shun also had these 2 pieces of crimson satin, and Lin Shun had 3 pieces of crimson satin, one more than Lin Xingqian. Sword region, sea of sword steels. Thousands of stone steels soared into the sky like swords. A young girl sat in front of a sword steel. A cold wind blew past her crimson long hair. Her beautiful eyes were tightly shut, and her appearance was captivating. However, the sternness between her eyebrows was as if she was emotionless. The sword on her back let out a soft hum, causing the girl to open her cold eyes. Sacred Burial Mountain Range. I will definitely complete Master's last wish. I have practiced this sword for 1,000 years. The girl stood up. Her crimson robe was filled with the afterglow of the sword. I hope I can find an opponent worthy of drawing my sword this time. Buzz! A fluctuation came from the storage ring. The girl frowned and checked the ring. There was a change in the gold list. The gold list has never had such a drastic change. Is it a change in the genius list? The girl flipped through the list, and hundreds of names quickly dimmed. Her cold and emotionless eyes rippled slightly. A few brand new names took the place of the dim names. Lin Chun. The girl muttered doubtfully. Yellow region, a desert. A sandstorm raged, and yellow sand filled the sky. What was strange was that there was a body lying in the desert, covered by sand and wind. It's so tiring. I have to fight every single time. Does the sect leader want me to live? Anyway, no matter how much I fight, I won't be able to get first place in the genius rankings. What's the point of not being first? The yellow sand was pushed aside, revealing a young face with white eyes. He even spat out a mouthful of yellow sand. We're about to set off again. I hate entering places that aren't for girls the most. The young man grabbed the sand beside him with both hands, and the desert within a radius of 100 miles began to shake violently. Billions of tons of sand rolled up into a sandstorm, condensing into 10 giant sand dragons that coiled around the young man. He stepped on the dragon and left. He lifted his bangs, revealing a pair of languid yet devilish eyes. If only I could meet a few beautiful female geniuses this time. Suddenly, the golden list in his bosom moved. He opened it curiously. Black Horse Club? What kind of weird force is this? Southern region, Star Island. The young man, standing proudly above the clouds, closed the gold roll, and a mocking smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. The Black Horse Club's Lin Shun? Interesting. Looks like a bunch of interesting fellows have been born on the heaven roll this time. If it weren't for the Sacred Burial Mountain Range opening, I would really want to trample on him right now. The feeling of killing geniuses is not a normal kind of fun. The young man spread open his pitch-black wings and transformed into a black shooting star that flashed toward the east. Flame region, above the clouds, a heavenly gate soared into the sky. 3 words hung above the heavenly gate. Absolute God sect. The heavenly gate was in front, and the young man was behind it. He wore a snow-white robe, and there was a red between his eyebrows. His cold eyes were like blades, and there was an arrogance between his brows that looked down on all living beings. The sacred Barrow Mountain Range is about to open. Although it's extremely risky for a saint to enter and lose their life, this young master will go and clean up those trash from the genius ranking. Maybe I can find some clues about that matter for back then. After saying that, an afterimage appeared beside the young man. When the afterimage disappeared, he had already flashed thousands of kilometers away. Just as the young man left, a few beautiful and delicate young women stepped through the fog and arrived. Senior brother ran out to play again. He didn't bring us along again. Really, senior brother hasn't stopped since he got on the genius rankings. Wrong. It's senior brother who hasn't stopped since he saw that woman from the Divine Flame Palace. Is this what it means to ruin a lifetime? Sacred boundary, a certain region, heavenly strange mountain. Clouds were faintly discernible, and the peak towered into the 9 heavens. A pair of lively eyes that were as bright as the moon and stars quietly opened. The person stretched lazily, perfectly accentuating her slender and exquisite figure that was like a willow branch in the spring. Her demeanor could be described as peerless. Her silver hair was light and agile. Her skin was whiter than snow. Her face was like snow jade. Her eyes were bright and her teeth were white. Her collar was like a piece of silk, and her facial features were flawless, surpassing countless handsome men and beautiful women in the mortal world. The person's eyes revealed a deep and vast spiritual fluctuation. It was as long as one stared into the pair of eyes that shone like the moon and stars, one would be forever lost in the endless spiritual world. It was irresistible and intoxicating. The gentleness between the eyebrows revealed the shyness of a young man, and the smile revealed a peerless beauty that even the most beautiful woman in the country paled in comparison. The person exclaimed as she held the golden roll with her delicate fingers and flipped through it slightly. Amazing. Class monitor really came to the sacred boundary. The Black Horse Club? The class monitor seems to have killed many geniuses. Isn't this a bloodbath in the geniuses gang? Won't this offend many forces? This is really like the class monitor style. The person clicked her tongue in wonder, and a trace of anticipation and excitement appeared on her face. I wonder what kind of expression the class monitor will have when he sees the current me. He seems to think that I'm... It's almost time to come out of seclusion. Class monitor, please don't let anything happen to you. If there were geniuses in the top 10,000 of the genius rankings here, they might exclaim out loud and recognize this peerless person. The human race had reproduced in the 36 regions of the sacred boundary for countless eras, and what they lacked the least was geniuses. There were countless legends. This person was none other than the legendary prodigy of amazement, who had shocked countless experts in the holy world a year ago. The person who had reached the top of the genius rankings. Number 1 on the genius rankings, Child of Amazement. However, he had an even more resounding title. The number 1 young master of the sacred boundary. This number 1 was not only number 1 on the genius rankings, but also number 1 in appearance. Battlefield, Void Square. 1,000-foot-tall demon statue with 4 heads and 8 arms towered over the square. The demon statue's face was ferocious, like a demon from hell. A youth was kneeling and kowtowing. His body was covered in dust, and the floor around his knees had a perfect depression. 1,000 years had passed in the blink of an eye. The youth stood up, and the dust on his body scattered all over the ground. The demon statue had kowtowed for 3,000 years, but when he looked back, he was still here. His gaze was as sharp as an owl's. The deep night could not conceal the deeper darkness in his eyes. The youth's hoarse voice was filled with fierce and violent battle intent. The god has disappeared, and the demon statue will deliver all living beings. Chapter 1048. Millions of years ago, the geniuses at the bottom of the monster ranking could challenge saints at war emperors. Their names shook the mountains and rivers and shocked the 36 domains. Challenging saints at a higher level was no longer a representation of the monster ranking. Today, millions of years later, the sacred boundary ushered in a brand new era. An unprecedented storm was brewing in the 36 domains of the sacred boundary. This storm was imperceptibly attracting the strongest geniuses on the genius ranking. Those were the top 10,000 of the genius ranking, who were called monsters by the people. The shadows were restless, and the demons were awakening from the silence. And a certain name, when the storm was brewing, stood in the most violent position of the storm. The descendants of the sacred boundary called it the eve of a revolution. After consuming 1 point of advanced technique essence, Lin Shan was stunned when the cultivation memory merged into his mind. Low orange level God's tier. Divine light appears out of nowhere, leaving no trace behind. First level of God's tier. Shatter chi and break heaven. To cultivate this technique, one needs to shatter one's holy chi or battle aura. One slash will shatter the saber chi. After merging the cultivation memory, Lin Shun was dumbfounded. An orange level technique was simply ridiculous. The first level of God's tier was to condense one's battle aura, holy chi, and pure strength to create a rapidly spinning saber chi. However, the difficult part was the next step. Once the saber aura is released, the user needs to shatter the saber aura and explode the accumulated power. The saber aura will turn into a rain of petals, shooting out fragments of light. Every fragment of light has destructive power and strong adaptability. It will be extremely difficult for the enemy to react in the instant explosion of the fragments of light. The saber aura can crush the enemy in an instant. Lin Shan was shocked. His teeth were chattering, and he couldn't help but gasp. However, an orange-level technique was far more than that. If it was limited to that, it wouldn't be worthy of the name orange level. Splitting a single battle chi attack into 10 or even 100 times was something similar to this. There were also half-orange rank and purple rank techniques. Lin Shan could even do it himself. However, these techniques didn't solve a problem. Splitting one attack's destructive power into several parts would greatly reduce its power. It is extremely difficult to maintain a third of the original power of a cultivation technique, let alone increase its power. If one were to make a numerical comparison, the power of an ordinary cultivation technique could only be maintained between 10 to 20 after the technique was shattered. If one were to unleash a power of 100, the total power of the attack would only be maintained between 10 to 20. This is nothing to worry about for top experts. But in God's tiers, the moment the saber aura exploded, its power increased instead of decreased. It's already crazy enough that it can maintain its original destructive power, and now it's increasing it in the opposite direction. Lin Shan asked himself, if he were to face an enemy who had mastered God's tiers, the only possibility would be to use the slow rune. But the problem was you didn't know when your opponent would shatter your attack and turn it into a storm to surround you. Lin Shan's eyes lit up. This was the orange rank, an existence that stood at the pinnacle of cultivation techniques. It cannot be compared to a half-orange grade technique at all. Half-orange level techniques were only slightly stronger than orange level techniques. There was a huge gap between the two. However, the next system notification made Lin Shan completely dumbfounded. System notification. Host current level 6 recharging rune. Level 6 penetration rune. Purple level talent. Ultimate moment. Purple level talent. Assault and purple level talent. Tier are not applicable to orange level combat techniques. Sovereign's descent enhancement to orange level combat techniques is greatly reduced. Isn't this F** king cheating me? All his trump cards were not applicable to orange level combat techniques. System, are you F** king messing with me? Lin Shen was completely enraged. Answer to host. Orange level combat techniques belong to the top level of cultivation techniques. The enhancement is extremely difficult. Please control your emotions. Similarly, the host's self-created combat techniques will be more difficult to enhance due to the increase in cultivation and strength. The system's reply made Lin Shun recall the time when he used the 9 Calamity Star. Back then, he had clearly used the level 6 recharging rune, but the notification that popped up only increased the power by 480%. So it turns out that the 9 Tribulation Stars at that time exceeded the range of the charging runes after my cultivation sword. I'm afraid that although the power of the 9 Tribulation Stars will be greater than before when I use it now, the power of the charging runes will become smaller and smaller. Lin Shen pondered and asked, then what if I continue to upgrade my runes and talents? Reminder, some talents, recharging runes, and penetration runes cannot be upgraded. Lin Shen sighed. It seemed that there were always losses and gains. In the future, many of his runes and talents would be of less and less help to him. I can only look for new talents and runes. Orange level techniques are the best. I can't possibly use half-orange level techniques for the rest of my life, right? Moreover, half-orange level techniques are only barely comparable to orange level techniques after their power is increased by 10 to 20 times in my hands. Lin Shen quickly adjusted his state of mind, his eyes burning with a strong fighting spirit. If the power of orange level techniques can be doubled, tripled, or even tripled, the benefits to me will far exceed a half-orange level combat skill that can be increased by 20 times. Lin Shen began to cultivate the key points of God's tears and began to shatter the battle aura that he slashed out. On the other side, he released 2 clones and began to forge. He still had a level 8 Dire Beast core, which he obtained from robbing those geniuses at the 9-colored Rainbow Bridge. It was the Dire Beast core of the extreme Nether Golden Phoenix. This phoenix was one of the 100 great sacred phoenix clans. It was famous for its indestructible golden feathers and sharp bloodline talents. Every move of its clan was domineering and extremely sharp. Many blacksmiths called it a treasure from head to toe. Even a feather could be forged into a level 7 weapon. Lin Shun wanted to complete his level 8 spear embryo, and he was only one step away from forging it into a sacred artifact. And his spear embryo just happened to lack a core material. Time passed slowly as Lin Shun was busy with his training and preparations. On the 3rd day, Lin Shen's level 8 spear embryo was forged into a complete sacred artifact. The finished product surpassed a level 1 sacred artifact and reached the level 2 sacred artifact for the first time. It surpassed the grade of the Atlas Sword. This spear was the first sacred artifact that Lin Shun forged himself. Its name was Dark Phoenix. On the 4th day, Lin Shun cultivated the rudimentary method of controlling the shattering of weapons to the extreme. He could shatter dozens of fragments with a casual swing of his sword, but it still couldn't meet the requirements of God's tears. The reason was simple. Lin Shen's cultivation was not enough. His battle aura volume needed to be improved before he could shatter it more thoroughly. I need to be at least at the 5th tribulation before I can grasp the basics of this orange rank battle technique. I'm still a distance away from that. Although I have Silver Saint Origin coins, I don't have enough time to refine it with all my clones. On the other hand, my spiritual energy is faintly approaching the half-step sacred artifact. My clones should cultivate their spiritual energy. Lin Shun let his clones consume a level 8 embryonic pill that contained a vast amount of spiritual energy. The 3 clones formed the hand seals of the Genesis sacred artifact and used the mental bridge to refine the embryonic pill. Obtain 9 points of spiritual energy, 13 points of spiritual energy, 11 points of spiritual energy. Although the finished sacred artifact was the best way to bring out the medicinal properties of the pill, Lin Shun didn't have time. He had to absorb as much as he could. Chapter 1049. Whoosh! Lin Shun exited his seclusion and handed over all the cultivation to his clone. He rushed out of the water curtain cave alone. I knew you couldn't stay idle. Ning Qingxian stood above the clouds and smiled sweetly. Her beauty was unparalleled. This smile seemed to only bloom for one person. Lin Chen was stunned. Then he smiled and said, Fairy Ning is the only one who knows me well. So, what are you going to do this time? The fairy landed beside him as if she knew what he was thinking. Lin Chen said, Rumor has it that the southernmost area of Rainbow Island is full of ferocious beasts that love to kill. I'm going there to hunt ferocious beasts on a large scale. You help me injure the ferocious beasts and let my clone kill them. Ning Qingxian said, What about the ferocious beast cores? Lin Chen said, It doesn't matter. You can take them if you need them. If you don't need them, I'll use them as storage. That's right. The meaning of Lin Chen's action was to accumulate energy for the sovereign's descent talent. He was preparing for the final battle. 100 Saints Gate, 1,000 Moon Holy Tower. How many years has it been since such a young guy dared to challenge the 100 Saints Gate? It took a lot of energy to cultivate so many young geniuses. This Black Horse Club is extremely arrogant. If it was a 5th-rank sect, I wouldn't dare to do anything to him. But it's actually a grade-less sect? Courting death. Inside the Holy Tower, in a spacious secret room, 3 auras as strong as the stars, sun, and moon suddenly shook and awakened. Ji-Mei, go and bring him back. We want him alive. As soon as the voice fell, pink clouds rose, and the beautiful woman shrouded in the clouds giggled. Last time, I plucked old Monster Qiao from East Island. He died after a month. I'm looking forward to meeting a good man this time. Hongtian Hall. A storm destroyed the world and swept across the sky for thousands of miles. Within the storm, an old man yawned. They really want to kill me. First, they want me to go to the Dark Thunder Abyss, and now they want me to catch a young man called Lin Chen. These guys really know how to order people around. In the Sun Moon Hall, thousands of moons rose above the sea, and the sun set to see the beauty. Lin Chen? Was he the guy who had massacred the genius list? Did he kill my disciple? The moon dimmed, and the night fell. The beautiful woman in a fluttering moon dress stepped out of the darkness like a ray of light, shuttling through the void like an arrow. Lin Chen, I don't care where you come from, but the life of my disciple will be paid with blood. Qian Island. Mo Qing looked at her grandmaster and grand elders and sucked in a cold breath. All the elders had turned out in full force. Qing Yu, you're the only one in our family who has cultivated that secret technique. We believe in your judgment. His ancestor smiled and patted Mo Qingxuan's shoulder. This is too big of a gamble, Grandmaster. Mo Qing shuddered slightly. This was putting the entire sect on the line. We have also gathered the information about the Black Horse Club as quickly as possible. This group of monstrous geniuses is worth our gamble. The Grandmaster held a horsetail whisk and smiled while stroking his beard. His eyes were filled with the light of wisdom. All the geniuses couldn't help but hold their breaths. This lineup was too terrifying. There is the president of a Tier 4 Chamber of Commerce, the Chun clan of a Tier 4 aristocratic family, the secret pavilion of a Tier 4 sect, the Cicada Saint and Miss Saint of the Mystic Realm, and the Crimson Great Saint of the Vast Heaven Palace, one of the 4 saints of the Barbarian region. Just the number of saints who wanted to encircle the Black Horse Club exceeded 20. The 3rd grade sects of the Wonder Domain that helped Prince Lin Shun at the 4-way conference didn't come. I'm afraid they were held back by the other hidden pavilions of the Wonder Domain, and more saints may appear later. This time, how will he get through this difficulty? Lan Roashue's heart palpitated. The difficulty this time was far greater than the one at the 4-way conference. Time passed. On the 4th day, thousands of streaks of light descended from the sky. The geniuses held their breaths. Many top geniuses were about to return. As the streaks of light descended, a large number of light beams descended from the Qilin cloud stage. Each beam of light was a figure, a skeleton, or a broken body. There were even some who only had a strand of hair left when they were teleported back. However, the saints and geniuses found that all the geniuses had dispirited and sad expressions. The women looked like they had overindulged and were listless. The men looked like they had weak kidneys and were completely hollowed out. Everyone was stunned. What was going on? Even Seiji Fuzumi and the one-eyebrow saint were dumbfounded. Shouldn't the Rainbow Island have some gains in great fortuitous encounters? In the past, at least half of the geniuses who came out of the Rainbow Island had some gains. They were all glowing with health and vigor. Even if they weren't in good shape, they still had a determined look. Why was it that this time, they all looked like they had been F***ed? Among this group of withered flowers, only the Chinese rose was particularly bright. The women of the heart-refining palace were very restrained. Only Lin Shun of the Black Horse Club was beaming with joy. There was a hint of lewdness in his coquettish aura. He was smiling like a Chinese rose. This Lin Shun can still smile? Did this kid pick up a beauty? He's smiling like a groom who has just entered the bridal chamber. All the geniuses were dumbfounded. Lin Shun sighed with emotion. Hey, Rainbow Island is so good. I'm so happy on this trip. Next time I'll come again. I'll bring the girls of the Black Horse Club to eat hot pot, sing songs, and touch their waists. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Many of the geniuses present were so angry that they almost cursed. Good, your sister. You even brought your family here for a sightseeing tour? Are you F***king saying that? You're happy, but your F***king happiness is based on our pain. All the good things have been F***king snatched by you. I really want to hit him. Brother Wong, hold it in. You can't beat him. Why did I enter the Rainbow Island with this god of plague? Who the F***ck did I owe in my previous life? F***ck. After so long, I only got an 8th grade herb. Everyone watched as the geniuses who were teleported back stare at Lin Shun as if he had killed their father. They couldn't help but be curious. What happened on Rainbow Island? The surviving geniuses of man, you couldn't help but cry when they saw the heavenly lions, giant bears, and cheelants in the sky. Old ancestor, you're finally here. It's this kid who killed our fellow Manu. He killed 74 of our geniuses in one breath. He killed all the geniuses of our 8 sects. That's right. Moreover, he robbed all of us. When the last 9-colored rainbow bridge appeared, everything was taken by him. All the geniuses were dumbfounded when they saw the burly men of man, you crying like children. What did they just hear? A 9-colored rainbow bridge. That was a legendary great opportunity that was hard to come by even in 10,000 years. Every time it appeared, the person who obtained it would definitely create a legend. Even a little bit of the 9-colored rainbow bridge's treasure would be infinitely useful. However, everything on the 9-colored rainbow bridge had been stolen by Lin Shun. Was he going to turn the world upside down? However, what happened next? Woo woo woo. Senior brother Shiwa, you must seek justice for Nangong and our dead junior brothers and sisters. The devastatingly beautiful woman from the Sun Moon Hall was weeping like a pear blossom in the rain. Anyone who saw her would feel pity for her. She sobbed as she spoke to the devilish youth in the void. Lin Shun pretended to be senior brother Nangong and used his identity to rob the Rainbow Island's sacred beasts. He framed us, the Sun Moon Hall, and caused us to be besieged by many sacred beasts. Our junior brothers and sisters finally managed to break out of the encirclement. Who would have thought that this brat would secretly ambush us? Half of our people were killed by the Black Horse Club. Upon hearing this, everyone, including the sages, were instantly dumbfounded. Their faces were filled with confusion. Chapter 1050. I didn't hear it wrong, did I? He stole the treasure of the 9-colored rainbow bridge and all the sacred beasts on Rainbow Island? Oh my God, how crazy is that? He repaired the 7th princess's appearance, used the Chun family's purgatory volcano island to set off fireworks, and massacred the genius list. Oh my God, the Black Horse Club doesn't follow common sense at all. Then, the last few remaining geniuses from the 100 Saints Gate begged the sage stage elders in the void for help. Elder Xia, please seek justice for senior brother Dongfang. Not only did he frame senior brother, but he also stole the spiritual plan of Providence Seed and orange-gray technique from the 9-color rainbow bridge. The sages sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard that. Their eyes were burning with greed. The geniuses were all stunned. The orange grade technique and the spiritual plan of Providence seed came out. Lin Shan smiled as he looked at the colorful faces of the crowd. There's no other way. As long as I'm fast enough, death won't be able to catch up with me. Before Seiji Fuzumi could speak, a terrifying pressure came from the void. Boom, boom, boom. The entire Kirin Cloud Island was shaking. The four sages of the barbarian realm, the Qihong Saint of the Hongtian Hall, the Shanghai Saint of the 100 Saints Gate, and Mo Shiyue of the Sun Moon Hall, the two sages of the Xuanyu, the four sages of the Chun family, the three sages of the Rank 4 Chamber of Commerce, the four sages of the Secret Pavilion, and the 5 sages of the Wonder Realm were all furious. What Black Horse Club? Lin Shan, little brat, get your people out here. No one has killed so many geniuses from the Sun Moon Hall. You want to challenge our authority? I'll fulfill your wish. Tell that bastard Jundishio to come out. My Chun family's sacred burning flame pearl isn't something you bunch of immature brats can eat. The sages were furious, and the geniuses on Kirin Cloud Island were pale. His expression was filled with pain. Even the energy shield of Kirin Cloud Island couldn't withstand the fury of more than 20 saints at the same time. Everyone, could it be that you want to break the rules? Saint One Eyebrow and Seiji Fuzumi stood in front of the geniuses and scolded them. In fact, they were also having a headache. According to the rules, as long as they were still on Shilin Island, they had to protect all the geniuses and prevent any private fights from happening. But in history, there had never been a force as crazy as the Black Horse Club. However, after leaving Shilin Island, it was no longer the scope of their responsibility. Therefore, they had to at least protect Lin Shan until the end of the ceremony. The 200 or so saints in the void were waiting to watch a good show. They were all retired saints, and most of them would not interfere in anything. At this moment, Lin Shan said cheerfully, "Seniors, I'll take responsibility for my own actions. You don't have to take responsibility for me." Seiji Fuzumi and Saint One Eyebrow looked at him deeply and slowly retreated. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Lin Shan stepped into the air and raised his middle finger at all the Saint Realm experts who were looking at him with hostility. Don't F*** King Grumble over there. Your disciples are not as strong as others, yet they still have ideas about me. Do you want me to stretch out my neck and let them kill me? They were purely courting death when they were killed by me. If I, Lin Shan, was killed by them, I'm afraid you old dogs would praise and reward them. Hee hee, you know the law of the jungle better than I do. Respect is always built on strength. If you want to cause trouble, then don't F*** King talk so much nonsense. A bunch of losers who can't afford to lose. Isn't it just killing saints? I've already killed more than 1 or 2 saints. I don't mind killing a bunch of you today. Lin Shan grinned coldly and overflowed with arrogance, intimidating the crowd. Killing saints. To a battle emperor, this would only exist in legends. A battle emperor challenging a saint and killing a saint were two completely different concepts. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. A strong gust of wind tore through space. Bear Saint of Man, you was dozens of feet tall, and his eyes were the size of basins. He was like a beast in human form. His strength tore through space and instantly flashed to Lin Shan's side. His 5 fingers had the power to shatter the void, and the wind from his fist shook heaven and earth as he punched Lin Shan in the face. There were no fancy techniques, only pure strength. Before the fist arrived, the wind from the fist had already crushed the 300-meter space crystal wall around Lin Shan into pieces. Pa! Bang! Boom! A mushroom cloud exploded in the sky above Shilin Island. The prodigies couldn't see it clearly, but the more than 200 saints saw it clearly. At the very center of the mushroom cloud, Bear Shang's fist was stopped in its tracks by the palm that was burning with the divine light of the crimson heavens. When Lin Shan opened his eyes again, his violent battle intent shook the heavens. At this moment, more than 20 Saint Realm experts who were besieging Lin Shan were finally shocked. Lin Shan's body was surrounded by the crimson heaven divine light, and his eyes were like stars that had been shining for billions of years. His sharp eyebrows were burning with a crimson flame, and his spirit was as deep as the universe. He was like a god who had descended to the mortal world. His shoulders held up the sky, and he was like a ghost from hell. He released a bit of chi that could split the heavens and earth. His battle aura condensed into 20 hexagonal stars, shining brightly and rapidly growing the destructive ninth tribulation holy chi. Lin Chen's 5 fingers clenched Bear Saint's fist tightly, and he even slightly bent Bear Saint's arm. His strength was like the king of the world. All the saints sucked in a cold breath. He caught Bear Saint's fist with one hand, using pure strength to suppress pure strength. Bang! Before the prodigies could see what happened, Bear Saint was sent flying thousands of meters away. What's going on? The Saint of Man, you was sent flying? Where's Lin Chen? What's going on with Lin Chen? Why can't I sense his chi anymore? All the prodigies were in a panic. Only the saints could vaguely see that Lin Chen's speed was 100 times faster than the speed of sound, and he simply used his knee to send Bear Saint flying with pure strength. 20 Saint Caves? He's also a saint? Peak Second Tribulation Saint? Impossible. If he's a saint, how could he enter the Rainbow Island? His body refining strength has surpassed Bear Saint's. All the saints were shocked, and the saints of the secret pavilion stared at Lin Chen. Tianma, who was injured, gritted his teeth and said, "So he's been holding back all this time. He didn't even use his full strength that day." The king of Fuxing Nation was overjoyed. Great, he still has such a trump card, and the Black Horse Club still has a chance to escape. Orange rank, one-time, active talent, Godslayer successfully activated. Those who are hostile to the host, 3,711 Fifth Tribulation Combat Emperors, 41 Saint Realm Cultivators, including Spiritual Power, Extreme Dragon Power, and Battle Chi. The total increase in strength, 174,596 times. While the Godslayer talent is active, the host will not be able to obtain any light balls with growth attributes, and the number of light balls with non-growth attributes dropped will be reduced 170,000 times. This time, Lin Chen used the Godslayer talent to increase his strength by 175,000 times, which was only second to the 300,000 times when he challenged the false god. However, Lin Chen's cultivation base and strength were as different as heaven and earth from back then. I can freely control the various transformations of my Saint Chi, which fulfills the basic requirement to cultivate God's tears. Lin Chen was overjoyed and gave the order. Consumed 8,000 advanced cultivation technique soul essences. Integrating the first level of God's tears, a huge amount of cultivation memories were integrated into the 5 clones of the Peach Garden plant pouch. Lin Chen didn't need to split his attention. He only needed to integrate the cultivation memories into the clones. The power of the Godslayer talent is only second to the time when I fought the false god. This is a saint point. Lin Chen's thoughts flashed like lightning, and he instantly sized up the 6-pointed star in his body. When a battle emperor became a saint, he had to open a saint point to absorb the saint chi of heaven and earth and convert his battle chi into saint chi. 1 to 10 saint points was the first level of the saint realm. 11 to 20 saint points was the second level of the saint realm. After using the Godslayer talent, Lin Chen opened up 20 illusory saint points, which was equivalent to the peak of the second level of the saint realm. Every saint point was filled with a vast space, and it was like a new world that contained a huge amount of light. This was Lin Chen's 9 tribulations saint chi. His fleshly body seemed to contain an endless amount of power. Lin Chen could now destroy a few hundred of his previous self with a single finger. My spiritual power is at the transcendent saint realm, and my pure strength is at 3 billion dragon power. Lin Chen's eyes shone with a domineering battle intent. He had just played his first trump card. Chapter 10:51. After Lin Shun received Bear Sage's punch and sent him flying, all the true saints regained their senses in less than a breath's time. He still has such a trump card hidden up his sleeve. What a terrifying young man. Let's attack together and kill him. All the true saints were extremely experienced in battle. Their eyes flashed fiercely, and they weren't intimidated by Lin Shun. They moved to one side and surrounded Lin Shun. Everyone, don't underestimate him. Take him down. Just as Lian Wanjin's voice fell, Saint Chi Hong of the Hongtian Hall exploded in anger. A finger of holy light that could sweep through mountains and rivers shot towards Chun Xiaoyan. Chi! The palm of holy light shattered the finger of holy light. Pung! 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 More than a dozen rays of holy light collided into each other. Lin Shun, this old man, is the founder of the Heavenly Ghost Divination Palace. Today, I will lead 3 true saints to assist in the battle. Lin Shun, little fellow, quickly leave with the Black Horse Club. Leave this place to us. And Mo Qing, the king of the Fu Saint country, and Poison Seiju all transmitted their voices to Lin Shun. Fu Saint country and Poison Sage, you made up a total of 4 true saints. They blocked the 4 true saints of the Chun family. The Heavenly Ghost Divination Palace and the Ancestral Master were also 4 saints. They blocked the 4 saints of Manu. Each had their own strengths, but at least they had 8 saints helping them. They blocked the other 8 saints. Even so, there were still the 2 Xuanyu saints, the Canghai Saint of the 100 Saints Gate, Mo Shiyue of the Sun Moon Hall, Qi Hong of the Hongtian Hall, the 3 true saints of the Chamber of Commerce, the 4 true saints of the Secret Pavilion, and the 5 true saints of the Mystic Realm. There were still 17 true saints, 9 First Heaven true saints, 5 Second Heaven true saints, and 3 Third Heaven true saints. Want to run? You won't have a chance. Find Saint Rope. Lian Wanjin sneered and raised his hand. 3 rays of golden light shot out like dragons and coiled around Lin Shun. Lin Shun was shocked. This golden rope could actually bind his strength and 9 tribulations holy chi temporarily. 17 Saint Realm experts. This brat can't beat them. They even used the Saint Binding Rope. These guys are determined to capture this kid. The Saint Realm experts watching the battle side in their hearts. The moment Lin Shun was bound by the holy rope, a strange phenomenon occurred. The host has activated 13 types of blue rank advanced sure kill skills. The target has been locked and the attack has begun. Remaining advanced blue rank sure kill skills, 39. Lightning bolts that resembled lightning dragons appeared out of nowhere and struck the 4 saints of the Dark Pavilion. The dark green tornado transformed into a giant beast and swallowed Cicada Saint, Miss Saint, and the other saints of the Mystic region. Waves of ice appeared out of nowhere and coiled around Qi Hong, Canghai Saint, and the others like ice dragons. Is this the unavoidable energy attack that the secret pavilion mentioned? It is indeed strange. Tens of thousands of layers of holy light illuminated the sky. The saints' holy points were filled with clouds and rosy clouds. They either transformed into flying sword tigers, or had layers of moon curtains, or had sword lights swirling around to resist Lin Chen's sure kill skills. The demonic white-clothed youth withstood the power of the sure kill skills and instantly teleported in front of Lin Shun. It was Mo Shiyue of the Sun Moon Hall. His right arm flashed with a dazzling low-grade yang odd crystal. The 9 layers of sun wheel above his head was so strong that it was almost heaven-defying. He withstood 3 of Lin Chen's sure kill skills and was still able to move freely. Mere insignificant skills are useless against me. Lowly mortal, I'll take one of your arms first. Mo Shiyue held the holy sword Abyss Splitting in his hand. The sword wind split the air as a blade, cutting open a spatial abyss and slashing down at Lin Chen's shoulder. Evil wind slash. Bang! A touch of pure gold brilliance emerged, and the cry of a phoenix from hell shook the sky. The tip of the spear swept out horizontally, and the spear and sword collided, shooting out rays of light in all directions. The sword light dissipated, and the sword light didn't cut into Lin Chen's body. The aftermath of the collision caused both sides to retreat. Lin Chen retreated 100 steps, and Mo Shiwei retreated 50 steps. The two of them crushed the spatial crystal wall into paste. Lin Chen's body surface circulated with indestructible golden gong holy qi. Even if he combined pure strength and holy qi to block the sword aura still broke his strongest defense. He held a pure gold spear in his hand. The spear tip was 3 feet long, and the spear body was engraved with golden phoenix feathers. The blade was like a xiangang, and it was inlaid with the sacred beast core of the extreme nether golden phoenix. The sharpness of this spear could be felt from 100 miles away. The saints who were hit by the sure kill skills were shocked. Wasn't this kid bound by the holy binding rope? How did he untie it? At this moment, everyone noticed that the holy binding rope was quickly burning and falling off. Lin Chen's body was burning with orange brilliance, like a ball of flame, illuminating the darkness. This kid used some kind of secret technique to burn his own life essence, activating the quasi-orange fatal death talent, starting to burn the host's life force. Based on the host's original Fourth Tribulation War Emperor cultivation, the host's power will increase by 13 times every second. The talent cannot be removed until the target dies. This time, Lin Chen had setting Tian Mo as his ultimate target. So powerful. The holy weapon infused with holy qi is on a completely different level from the one I used when I was a war emperor. Lin Chen was shocked. If the power of a holy weapon used by a war emperor was 10, then the power of a holy weapon used by a saint was more than 10,000. The difference was like heaven and earth. This kid's spear is a second-grade holy weapon. The 200 saints in the clouds exclaimed. Collecting his thoughts, Lin Chen transmitted his voice to the saints. I'm sorry, King of Fu Saint Country and seniors of Heavenly Ghost Divination Palace. I have no intention of running away today. Lin Chen's murderous aura was awe-inspiring. These people are not qualified to eat me. Lin Chen. Today, I will slaughter a saint again. The geniuses on the prodigy ranking were stunned. Lin Chen could use the power of a saint, so he was still holding back when he was on Rainbow Island. If he used this move on Rainbow Island, he didn't even need to rely on those strange attacks. He could suppress us with just his strength alone. We are convinced of our loss. What monster? How old is he? If he can survive today, won't he be able to enter the prodigy ranking? The geniuses from Rainbow Island were dumbfounded. No wonder he was able to nurture a genius like Shun Lingshuang. He himself was as strong as a monster. Ning Qingxian and Shun Lingshuang clenched their fists. If Lin Chen couldn't pass this stage, their future would be filled with endless revenge. In the void, enlightening, astral wind, heavenly fire, and a large amount of energy enveloped the 17 saints. Only a few saints could move freely. Oh, interesting. Mo Shiwei was slightly surprised as she resisted 3 sure kill moves. She sneered. A saint is not something your battle emperor cultivation can compare to. You still want to challenge someone of a higher realm? Dream on. Clang. A dragon's roar came out of the saber. A saber light that could cut through the heavens slashed towards Lin Chen like snow. It was Hong Tianhol's Qi Hong. He was a saber saint. They were both in the 3rd heaven saint realm, but he could resist Lin Chen's sure kill moves and move freely. He slashed out with his saber to suppress Lin Chen. Lin Chen held the spear with both hands and infused the 9 tribulations holy qi into the serene phoenix holy spear. Imperial sky. Lin Chen swept across the sky. Billions of dragon power burst forth with sky-shattering energy, charging and penetrating runes. The tip of the spear burst forth with an arrow-like golden rainbow that crossed the sky. Chapter 1052. Chi. Bang. When the snowflake saber light and the golden rainbow collided, it shattered the void. Unexpectedly, Lin Chun was able to receive Qi Hong's saber strike. The blade Qi surged and bombarded Lin Chen's chest, shattering his imperial heaven metal Qi. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth as he retreated rapidly. Buzz! Ripples appeared in the space as a giant hand of holy light that rolled up a dark blue sea mist furiously slapped Lin Chen's head. The Sanhai Saint, a third heaven true saint, had also made his move. Annihilation. Lin Chen was already prepared. He clenched his teeth and formed a hand seal. A beam of annihilation, spiritual light, collided with the holy light hand and shattered it. The aftershock of the pale blue holy light shook Lin Chen's entire body, causing his bones to crack. I have to say, you're really a freak to be able to withstand my blade technique with your second heaven true saint cultivation. I'm afraid this spear technique is already at the orange tier. Qi Hong sneered disdainfully as he stepped into the air with his blade. A whirlpool of blade Qi appeared above his head, twisting and turning the numerous attacks of the sure kill technique. He was completely unharmed. The Sanhai Saint was dressed in a hemp robe. His eyes were blue as he said indifferently, "You also have the strength of a peak second heaven true saint." What an interesting young man. Not to mention the other 14 people. Any third heaven true saint here is enough to kill you. Why don't you just surrender obediently and avoid all this suffering? Perhaps you can even die a quick death. All the true saints watching the battle shook their heads and sighed. This battle is too difficult. The Black Horse Club has no hope. Unless he steps into the fourth heaven true saint realm, it will be difficult for him to escape. The true saints watching the battle shook their heads. There is almost no such thing as challenging someone of a higher level in the true saint realm, especially when it came to challenging someone of a higher level. There were very few examples in the history of the sacred boundary. There is an absolute difference between a first heaven true saint realm expert who had opened 1 saint point and a true saint realm expert who had opened 2 saint points. Every time a saint point was opened, the amount of holy qi it could contain would increase exponentially. It was too difficult for a sage expert to challenge someone at a higher level. It was like 2 people of the same build and similar fighting skills, but your opponent was twice as strong as you. How could you fight? In order to make up for this huge difference, the only way was to use orange tier cultivation methods and low-grade odd crystals. Of course, this possibility referred to the situation of a one-on-one battle. However, Lin Chen wanted to take on 17 players by himself. It was impossible. The difference between 11 and 21 saint apertures was the difference between cultivation realms. There were 3 people present who could suppress Lin Chen with their cultivation realms alone. Mo, Xue, Sanhai Saint, and Qi Hong could easily suppress him. None of the saints believed that Lin Chen could break out of this predicament. The Black Horse Club was doomed. The only possibility was that the 8 sages were risking their lives to protect Lin Chen. This was his only chance. On the other side, Bear Saint and Jiao Saint of Man, you sneered at the monarch of Fu Saint Nation and the others. TSK, TSK, TSK. It's a pity that he didn't accept your good intentions. Instead, he insisted on risking his life. The monarch laughed. We never regret our actions. We have witnessed too many miracles along the way. Today is no exception. We believe that this little guy is brave, but not smart. He was extremely calm, and the holy light shooting out from his fingertips became even faster. On the other side, the Chen family's Saint Realm old ancestor glared at Heavenly Ghost Divination Palace and the others. Scram, old fart from the Mystic Realm. What are you doing in the southern region? If you offend my Chun family, I will make sure you have no descendants. Then let's see who has no descendants. Our MO, Brat, has never misjudged anyone. This old man also believes in his foresight. No matter what the result is, we will witness it to the end. Heavenly Ghost Divination Palace's ancestor smiled lightly and tried his best to block the opponent's saint. The 16 saints fought until the sky turned dark. Even Saint One Brow and Seiji Fuzumi had to use all their strength to protect Chilan Island. The sun wheel above her head took on the attack of the sure kill technique. Imo Shiue held her sword and slashed diagonally. Her 21 Saint apertures shone brightly. Let's see how long you can last. Imo Shiue raised her sword. Hundreds and thousands of sword aura lotuses bloomed in the sky. Each of them hid a peerless sharpness and surrounded Lin Shun. Lin Shun's holy phoenix wings flapped rapidly. He used Dragon Flash. The afterimages of the Dragon Phoenix flashed one after another. The sword lotuses shattered the afterimages. Lin Shun looked at them and dodged. He shuttled through the void and traveled dozens of miles in an instant. Holy Phoenix wings? Your movement technique is not bad. You can't escape from my palm. When Shi Hong sneered, the blade slashed vertically. The blade aura was like a falling galaxy. It furiously slashed the space behind Lin Shun and split open the void. Kid, you don't have a chance. Songhai Saint condensed 10 holy light mist dragons and attacked Lin Shun from all directions. The attack was too strong. Lin Shun would definitely be distracted. He had to use all his strength to deal with any attack. Bang! Songhai Saint and Shi Hong's Saint Chi collided and hit nothing. The Saints were stunned. A pitch-black shadow covered Lin Chen's purple-red phoenix wings. A pair of star-like eyes opened from the wings. Innate dark shadow. That's right. It said that this kid can run until now because of a young innate dark shadow. Something's not right. This dark shadow is giving me a strange feeling. More than 200 Saints were shocked and astonished. Little fellow, it's time to work. Lin Shin smiled at Little Dark Shadow behind him. Purple lightning exploded above Little Dark Shadow's head and condensed into 4 words. Fight your mother. The Godslayer had increased Lin Shin's pure strength and the speed of his holy phoenix wings. However, this didn't mean that Lin Shin's speed could suppress the 3 third Heaven True Saints. He could only dodge part of their attacks. None of the 3 Saints' movement techniques were inferior to Lin Shin's. Not to mention, their cultivation realm suppressed Lin Shun. In terms of speed, Lin Shun still had to rely on Little Dark Shadow to increase his speed. Chi. The Een lightning shattered, the astral winds dissipated, and the heavenly flames extinguished. The Saints of the Secret Pavilion and Thousand Gold Association were freed from the tide of killing moves. The first round of attacks ended, and the Saints on the other side didn't suffer any injuries. The 17 Saints faced Lin Shun from afar, and killing intent filled the air. Rumble. Another change occurred. A green cloud appeared in the sky, and a green ox appeared. An old man in sackcloth sat on the back of the ox. Little Qing Xian, my old bones aren't of much use to you. The old man in sackcloth held a straw in his hand as his gaze swept across the saints present. There are quite a lot of old friends here today. It's old ghost A.O. Qing from the innumerable Green Palace. That old bastard is here too? Seiji Fuzumi exclaimed in shock. Ning Qing Xian floated into the air and sent a voice transmission. Master, please help Lin Shun. I'll try my best. The old man in sackcloth nodded. He rode the green ox to Lin Shen's side. Senior, you are? Lin Shen was curious. The old man didn't seem to be hostile toward him. I'm an old fellow from the innumerable Green Palace. You must be Lin Shun. A.O. Qing looked at Lin Shen's condition and couldn't help but sigh. He's really going all out. He's even burning his life force. Lin Shun was relieved. So it was the reinforcements that Qing Xian had called for. Qi. A ray of sword chi slashed toward A.O. Qing. The old man's eyes turned cold. He grabbed with one hand and crushed the sword chi. Old bastard, don't get in the way. Imo Shiue chided sternly. Otherwise, I'll kill you too. This old fellow is extraordinary. Let me hold him back. You guys go and capture that kid. The Songhai Saint stood facing A.O. Qing. Both of them looked at each other. An old opponent from back then. Maybe there's still a chance. Now that the combat power of the Third Heaven Saint realm has been reduced by 1, Lin Shun might be able to escape if he can use that undodgeable energy attack again and use the innate shadow realm to force his way out. Just as the 200-plus Saint Realm experts were trying to see through the situation suddenly changed. Rumble. A ball of scarlet divine flames descended on Kirin Cloud Island like a divine fire from the nine heavens. From the scarlet divine flames, a woman in red walked out slowly. She was so beautiful that she could topple cities. A pair of flame-like eyes scanned the entire place. Just a faint aura of power was enough to stun the few hundred Saint Realm experts present. This was an existence that was close to being invincible. Lin Chen's eyes trembled. This woman was the woman from the Divine Flame Palace who had personally suppressed all the demonic eyes in the Jiuzhou continent and taken Bai Ruoyan away. Chapter 1053. Lin Chen knew this woman in red very well. The day when she suppressed the Nine Regions demon, I was still vivid in his mind. She actually came personally? Who is this woman? What a terrifying aura. Could it be that this woman has already stepped into that realm? All the sages present were shocked. Yo, Lin Chen, I haven't seen you in a while. I didn't expect to see you either fighting with your life on the line. The woman in the divine flame smiled at Lin Chen. The dozens of sages' hearts skipped a beat. Mo Shiyue of the Sun Moon Hall and Qi Hong of the Hongtian Hall both revealed a deep fear. Could it be that she was the backer of the Black Horse Club? If that was the case, then there was no need to fight today. Not to mention 20 sages. Even if more than 200 sages swarmed her, they wouldn't be enough to kill her. This woman alone could suppress all the sages present. Senior, you're still so strong. Lin Chen grinned. The two of them looked at each other. The woman in the divine flame's eyes were stunned. She saw an intense fighting spirit in this man's eyes, looking down on the world. He didn't have any expectations for her. Sister, you're finally here? Hurry up and help Master. At this moment, a petite figure pounced on the woman in the divine flame. The woman in red smiled sweetly and said, "Didn't I tell you that you can't use that talisman unless your life is in danger? Once you use it, it means that 3 months have passed and you have to return with me." Shen Ling Shuang felt wronged and hurriedly said, "Ling Shuang doesn't mind going back, but sister, you have to help Master. These bad guys have chased Master all the way. I won't help him." The woman in red interrupted Shen Ling Shuang, scaring the little girl. She looked at Lin Chen. "Lin Chen, kid, I came here purely for Ling Shuang. It has nothing to do with you. I won't interfere with your life or death. If you can't even pass this stage, don't talk about getting on the Demon Genius list. You won't even be qualified to see your woman." Her words stirred up 1,000 waves. The geniuses of Qilin Island sucked in a breath of cold air. All the saints were astonished. In order to meet his woman, he had to at least be listed on the Monster Genius list. What kind of background did this Lin Chen's woman have? The sage experts who had surrounded Lin Chen unconsciously let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the worst outcome hadn't happened yet. "Don't worry, I'm not counting on you." Lin Chen smiled indifferently. "Senior, please go to the side and drink some tea. I will solve my own problems." The woman in red gave him and the innate dark shadow behind him a meaningful glance. Then, she held Shen Ling Shuang's hand and flashed away. Shen Ling Shuang was so anxious that she started crying. Her small eyes were red as she said, "Sister," the woman in red scolded, "what are you crying for? This is the path your master has chosen. No one can help him." "Lin Chen, you haven't truly come to our world yet. You don't know the cruelty of the other side of the sacred boundary. If you can't even deal with these crooks, then you might as well go to sleep." The lady in red stared at Lin Chen with a deep gaze. Bang! With a loud bang, the Songhai Saint and Ao Qing of the innumerable Green Palace had clashed. Whoosh! For ghostly shadows appeared behind Lin Chen. Ying Mia, Ying Tianma, and the other 4 Saint assassins of the Dark Pavilion were waiting for the chance to sneak attack Lin Chen. With a flash, the holy light dagger pierced Lin Chen's heart. Yingmia's palms were aimed at Lin Chen's head and other vital points. Lin Chen's hand was like a sword as he slashed forward. 3 billion dragon power points exploded and cut open the spatial crystal wall. He slashed the dagger with one hand. At the same time, Lin Chen lowered his head and turned around. The tip of his spear surged as he flicked Ying Tianma's walking stick away. His leg was like an axe as he smashed forward. Life and death absolute force was like a coiling dragon as he took the attacks of the four saint head-on. Consumed 13 talent points. Triggered fatal bloodlust. Received actual healing effect, 49%. Activated assault, ripping talent. Rip, bang, bang, bang. The four saints were pushed back. Attack together and take down this kid. Lian Wanjin shouted angrily. Qin Jinqian suddenly pulled out his sword and pointed it at Lin Chen. Lin Chen moved his body and dodged the sword. He swung his spear horizontally and smashed Mist Saint and Cicada Saint, who were hiding in the void. He retreated with one spear strike. Rip! The palm strike hit Lin Chen's back. It was actually an afterimage. Lin Chen transformed into Dragon Flash and stepped forward. The dragon-like sword light crushed all the afterimages. The space for Lin Chen to dodge became smaller and smaller. Whoosh! The bright blood chi saber slashed at Lin Chen's head. The attack came too quickly. Lin Chen activated Imperial Sky Defense and blocked with his spear, but he was still slashed into the sea by the saber. Woo! Woo! 2 battle aura sacred whales, which were thousands of feet long, jumped out of the sea and crashed into Lin Chen's back. Lin Chen spat out blood and gritted his teeth. The fighting spirit in his eyes did not decrease at all. A spiritual annihilation light beam swept out from his glabella and shattered the 2 blue whales. Continuous activation of ultimate restoration. Consumed 23 mid-level talent points, 18 talent points. Lin Chen was bathed in blood. He was in the healing state of ultimate restoration almost all the time. He also chewed Long Kingguo and swallowed the sacred healing item glazed Bodhi seed from time to time. He was fighting with his life. Roar! Roar! High up in the sky, the 2 saints of Xuanyu attacked together. Their palms met the attack, and a holy light palm print of more than 10 acres came crashing down. The other saint formed a hand seal and pushed with both hands. 3 red rings enveloped Lin Chen and restrained more than half of his pure strength. Mo Shiwe drew his sword and slashed out 7 slashes. Each slash was an extreme half-orange greatsword art. It was like a dragon in the clouds and a tiger in the wind. The power of the Yang Odd Crystal was displayed to the extreme. Lin Chen broke through the red rings with pure strength. The tip of his spear met the attack, creating afterimages as he pushed forward layer by layer. Bang! 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 Tearing talent activated. The spear tore through the holy light giant hand, sending a few sword aura lotus flowers and flying sword tigers into pieces. The Imperial Sky Spear technique was executed to the extreme. With the addition of 2 attack runes, it erupted with the peerless power of an orange-gray battle technique. Lin Chen was facing the attacks of Mo Shiyue and the other saints. A wisp of sword aura and blade aura were like maggots attached to bones, slashing towards Lin Chen from both sides. The entire Qilan Island was on the verge of collapse. The energy shield trembled several times, and a nearby sea was even stirred up. It was too fast. It was like a violent storm. The attacks of the saints were all aimed at Lin Chen's blind spot. Even with the speed advantage of Little Shadow, it was difficult to make up for the fatal difference of 2 fists can't fight 4 hands. Not to mention the saints, even the geniuses could see that Lin Chen was completely holding on. If this continued, even if he was a tempered saint, his spiritual power, battle chi cultivation, and 3 saints, he would be exhausted to death. Not to mention the joint attack of 16 Sage Realm cultivators. Just Qi Hong and Mo Shiyue alone were enough to suppress Lin Chen. The attacks of the other saints were aggravating the process. I admit your strength, but it's still too early for you to fight with us. The illusory power will eventually be overdrawn. Try to rely on 1.5 orange-grade combat skills to challenge me is wishful thinking. Lose. Chi Hong slashed again. The sky split open, and the terrifying aura twisted the galaxy. Chi! Bang! The wind and clouds suddenly changed. The thunderclouds above the 16 saints exploded, and purple lightning flashed. It was either a raging sea or a raging yellow sand, rolling up thousands of layers of sandstorms, or a purgatory rain of fire. The host has activated 13 sure kill skills. The target has been locked and the attack has begun. Remaining blue rank sure kill skills, 26 times. How many more of these strange attacks does this kid have? Don't mess up the formation. He can't break it. Defend first. Ying Mia and Lian Wanjin stabilized the killing intent of the Saints because these attacks didn't pose much of a hindrance to Chi Hong and Mo Shiyue. Chi. The sun wheel sword aura above their heads cut through the yellow sandstorm and continued to cut through the bombardment of purple lightning. Mo Shiyue and Chi Hong surrounded Lin Shun, who was covered in blood from left and right. Brat, you should know that these attacks are useless against us. It seems that this is your limit. Die. Chi Hong and Mo Shiyue each attacked, wanting to disable Lin Shun. Rip. 2 grayish-white talismans appeared out of nowhere, suppressing ghosts and sealing saints. Space froze. The attacks of the two became especially slow. Boom! Lin Shen's aura surged wildly. His spear pierced the sky, and a golden rainbow flashed. It actually split into 5. Bang! 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 The golden rainbow pierced through the sky. The saber aura exploded, and the sword aura collapsed. The golden rainbow collided in front of the two, and the saints were sent flying. Many Sage Realm experts stared at the two sages in disbelief. This was the first time since the start of the battle that Chi Hong and Mo Shiyue's attacks had been broken and repelled. Lin Shun held the Dark Phoenix battle spear and stood against the wind. He grinned evilly and overflowed with arrogance. I've delayed enough. Next, it's time to play my 3rd and 4th trump cards. Chapter 1054. If he only had 2 trump cards, the blue rank advanced sure kill technique and the Godslayer, Lin Shen wouldn't have a chance to turn the tables against so many saints. Lin Shen clearly felt the difficulty of fighting someone of a higher rank in the saint realm, especially with 21 saint points. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Lin Shun had a saint artifact, but so did his opponents. Lin Shen's mental cultivation method was close to the orange rank after being strengthened, but the other's mental cultivation method wasn't inferior either. Lin Shun could unleash the power of an orange rank combat technique, but the other's cultivation suppressed him. Lin Shun had transcendent spirit power and 3 billion dragon power points in the saint realm. Mo Shiyue, who was a genius saint, had a low-grade odd crystal that boosted his cultivation greatly. Chi Hong was a sword saint with pure sword Dao, and his lethality was as terrifying as a sword saint of the same rank. Lin Shen's spiritual power and pure strength advantage didn't play a decisive role in front of these two people. Even if he fought Mo Shiyue or Chi Hong alone, Lin Shen might not be a match for either of them. And this was under the condition that they had a part of their strength tied down by the sure kill technique. This battle couldn't be compared to the battle between fake gods. When they fought fake gods, they were seriously injured and their attacks were limited, so they didn't dare to fight Lin Chun head-on. Plus, they had the sun god talent back then. 16 saints, except for Ying Tianma, were all in their peak condition. In a battle between saints, challenging someone of higher rank was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. But Lin Shun still had a backup plan. Now it's my turn to attack. Lin Shun laughed and unsheathed his sword. The sword was like a dragon's roar, and he changed his spear for a sword. The sword was red and domineering, like the sword of a king. Lin Shun injected his holy chi and slashed down with his sword. The orange sword rainbow slashed in all directions. The sword rainbow divided the sea, and the sword slashed the sky. One sword turned into five, and five rainbows pierced the sky. One sword slashed the 9 heavens. At this moment, the eyes of the red-dressed woman from Shunyan Palace who had retreated to the side lit up. Interesting. Lin Shun, you're really not simple. Qi Hong's aura surged to the heavens. The bloodlight, Saint's saber, slashed through the air. The saber Qi turned into a dragon. The blood-marked dragon swallowed the heavens and the earth. The saber Qi overflowed. Blood-devouring mad dragon. The power of Mo Shiyue's holy sword skyrocketed. When the holy light surged like a dragon into the sword, it transformed into a sword of flowing light that was hundreds of feet long. Its entire body burned with a holy light of sun fire. True burning sun sword. Mo Shiyue raised her sword and swiftly waved it. 100 zhang long sword light angrily slashed out. Rip! Bang! The two people's attacks finally cut through the 5 sword rainbows with great difficulty. Mo Shiyue's burning sun sword was suddenly torn into pieces. The 30% penetration power penetrated his sword chi defense for the first time. Puffed. Mo Shiyue vomited blood. After a quarter of an hour of fighting, Mo Shiyue was injured. Beside him, there were more than a dozen attribute light balls that were dazzling and translucent. These attribute light balls far exceeded the Battle Emperor's attribute light balls. The 200-plus Sage Realm experts who were watching the battle sucked in a breath of cold air. What kind of divine ability is this? He can actually divide an orange-tier combat skill into 5 without any reduction in power? Even the knowledgeable sages who had experienced all kinds of things had never heard of such a divine ability. Oh, you're quite capable. The red-dressed woman raised her eyebrows. She didn't expect Lin Shun to have such a move. My fire and water elemental attributes are the highest. Then, let's determine the winner before the killing move is used up. Consumed 800 points of advanced rune energy. Whoosh! Another 2 slowing runes were cast, and the space above their heads exploded. This move again. This kid can even seal our space. Qi Hong was shocked, and Mo Shiyue's expression was horrified. The white dragon shadow flashed behind the two of them. Lin Shun held the azure moon tightly this time and slashed horizontally at their backs. The bright moon-like blade light exploded, and the bright moonlight chilled 14 provinces. Instant light split shadow. Mirror Moon Imperial God. Whoosh! The world seemed to be illuminated by the moonlight in an instant, and all the sages felt the aurora of the water moon fill the world. Qi Hong's aura pierced through the sky, and the blade slashed out a world shrouded in blood. The blood moon hung high, and blood butterflies danced in the air. Under the beauty was a murderous intent that was like purgatory in the human world. Mo Shiyue summoned the blazing sun-burning sky with her sword and slashed rapidly. The blazing sun instantly crushed down from the 9 heavens, stirring up the water moon blade light. Bang! Bang! Boom! The sea shook, and the spatial crystal wall cracked like a giant python spreading across the entire sky. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth exploded into balls and was drawn in endlessly. Mo Shiyue used all her divine abilities and unique skills. She finally didn't hold back. They no longer regarded Lin Shun as a junior who was far inferior to them, but as an opponent of the same level. All the sages were stunned. The geniuses' teeth chattered as they witnessed this earth-shattering scene. Lin Shun was actually facing Mo Shiyue and Qi Hong head-on, and they were exchanging blows. He was fighting 1 against 2, and in a situation where he was challenging those of higher level, he was not at a disadvantage at all. Lin Shun was either waving his spear, slashing with his sword, shooting with his bow, or dancing with his blade. Orange grade, orange grade, orange grade. Lin Shun used no less than 5 orange grade techniques in one go. It's too scary. Every move of this kid is an orange grade technique. He's simply playing with his life. That's not the key. The key is that every move of his orange grade technique can be divided into 5 moves, and the power is not affected at all. This is the full power of the Black Horse Club's #1 genius, God descending to the mortal world, Lin Shun. More than 200 sages were moved. It was the first time they had seen such a heaven-defying sage. The reason why Lin Shun was able to fight 1 against 2 was because of his absolute life and death innate talent. Every second of his vitality increased his strength by 15 times that of a 4th tribulation cultivator. This allowed Lin Shun to fight even more valiantly. The increase in strength from life and death's burning of vitality had exceeded 30,000 times. Lin Shun's 21 saint points were showing signs of breaking open. Most importantly, it was instant light splitting shadows. This was Lin Shun's only permanent orange grade talent, and it finally shone with its peerless brilliance. It was not like the Sun God or God Slayer, which directly granted power after meeting the prerequisites. The strength of instant light splitting shadows depended on the host's own strength. As Lin Shun grew stronger, this innate talent would eventually reveal its peerless divine might. However, it consumed a lot. Every time Lin Shun used instant light splitting shadows, it would consume more than 300 intermediate talent points. The dozen sages who were trapped in the sure kill technique were shocked. This kid's strength had reached such a terrifying level. The situation has changed. We have to take action too. Don't let this kid escape. How many more moves does he have? When this kind of young man grows up in the future, none of us will be able to escape. Kill him. We have to kill him first. Many sages were either transmitting voice transmissions to each other or roaring in their hearts. Only Ying Tianma kept his eyes fixed on Lin Shun as he parried the sure kill moves. He had exchanged information with serious injuries. He knew that Lin Shun had an even more heaven-defying killer move. The change in the battle situation began from the moment Qi Hong vomited blood. After Qi Hong's soaring blade aura was torn apart, the shining arrow aura of the Feather of Lucky Light shattered his defense, and many attribute light balls rolled down. Mo Shiyue's face was pale, and her spirit was damaged. When the attack that locked onto me slows down, I will definitely crush this kid. Qi Hong gritted his teeth and painfully swallowed a sacred pill to heal his injured body. The two of them had to split their attention to resist the power of the sure kill technique. Their combat power was limited in the battle with Lin Shun. If their defense was broken, it would also cause damage to their sacred bodies. When sages were injured, the cost of healing was often great. Chapter 1055. Lin Shun grabbed the attribute light balls dropped by the two of them to make up for his previous consumption. The 2 trump cards, the high-energy slow rune and instant light split shadows, caught the two of them off guard. Coupled with the heavenly invisibility rune's spiritual shock, it perfectly triggered the assault talent. At the same time, the two of them were heavily injured. Once the tier talent was triggered, their attacks would definitely collapse. Activated 13 high-level blue rank ultimate skills. All targets have been locked. Beginning bombardment. Remaining high-level blue rank ultimate skills. 13. Just as the dozen or so saints were about to break free from the ultimate skills, lightning and fire descended, and the wind and clouds rose again. The saints cursed on the spot. Damn it, is there no end to this? How many more of these attacks does this kid have? I'm so unlucky. I've been in the sacred boundary for so many years, and this is the first time I've been so frustrated. The saints stood in the space behind Lin Shun and couldn't help but curse. Qi Hong and Mo Shiyue, who were in front of Lin Shun, had solemn expressions. I originally planned to wait for these strange attacks to disappear before taking him down in one fell swoop. I didn't expect him to have another round of bombardment. We don't know how many more of these attacks he has. Forget it. Let's endure the attacks and attack with all our might. The two of them looked at each other and thought of the same thing. Boom! Above Chi Hong's head, 100 dragons suddenly danced wildly. Blood chi surged, rolling up tens of thousands of waves of blood. His saint's sword glowed with the light of a faint blood moon. Mo Shiwe wiped the blood essence from her palm on the sword. 3,000 blazing suns shone in the void, as if a world of flames had suddenly descended. The expressions of more than 200 saints changed slightly. Saint One Brow and Seiji Fuzumi circulated their saint chi with all their might and set up 3 layers of holy light protective shields. Lin Chun actually forced out senior apprentice brother Mo's 3,000 Burning Heavens technique. It's said that it's the most powerful orange-level sword technique of the primordial age. Lin Chun is dead for sure. I didn't expect that we would have the chance to see Elder Hong's Blood Moon frightening dragon with our own eyes. This is an orange tear saber sutra that the Hongtian Hall had sacrificed a few grand elders and risked their lives to obtain from an ancient ruin. On Kirin Cloud Island, the red-robed youth of Hongtian Hall and the remaining geniuses of Sun Moon Hall were all shocked beyond words. Orange Tear Cultivation Method. With a 3rd-level Sage Realm Saber Saint and Mo Shiwe, who possessed a young, odd crystal, its power would probably sweep away most sages of the same level. More than 200 Saint Realm experts were shocked. Among the 3rd-level saints, only a small portion of them possessed a complete orange-grade ultimate skill. The only reason they could do so was because they were from a 5th-grade sect. From a certain point of view, Lin Chun was able to fight 2 Third Heaven True Saints at the same time. He had even forced them to use their trump cards. He had already won. Only geniuses on the monster ranking could achieve such a result. Regardless of whether he could withstand this move from the 2 sages or not, his name would be immortalized in history. Have I been forced into a corner? But it just so happens that I don't have much talent points and rune energy left. It just so happens that the time limit of the absolute life and death talent is almost up. My orange-grade cultivation method has just been integrated. Lin Chin's eyes shone with incomparable calmness and sharpness. This was probably the calmest he had ever been since he used the absolute life and death talent. After burning the absolute life and death for so long, his 21st virtual sacred point was faintly showing signs of breaking through. Brat, I'll let you see what an orange-grade ultimate skill is. It's not something that your incomplete orange-grade technique can compare to. Mo Shiwe's head was bombarded by countless sure-kill techniques. His robes fluttered in the wind, and he laughed sinisterly. Lin Chen raised his hand, and 9-colored starlight gathered in his palm. Chi Hong sneered. I originally wanted to keep you alive. Forget it. If you die here, you won't be able to trick us. Boom. The next moment, the 2 saints moved at the same time. Mo Shiwe raised his sword and struck out. It was as if his sword could shatter heaven and earth. Wherever the sword tip pointed, thousands of blazing suns rose. At the center of the blazing suns, a long rainbow of sword aura was spinning rapidly. At that moment, an abyss-like crack appeared in the sky. Blood Moon, frightening dragon. The rolling saber aura was unstoppable. The vast, blood-colored moonlight condensed on the saber, and it slashed out swiftly. A dragon-shaped saber aura flowed in a 1,000-foot-long blood moon, and the saber aura traveled thousands and thousands of miles. Bang! 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 The surface of the sea exploded, rolling up a water tornado. The sea surface under the blazing sun sword mark was divided into a 10,000-foot-long abyss. The sea surface was actually cut in half by the sword aura. Retreat. Stay away. The more than 200 Saint Realm experts who were watching the battle subconsciously retreated. Seiji Fuzumi and Saint One Brow used all their strength to protect Kirin Island. The only one who didn't move was the woman in red from the Divine Flame Palace. Her beautiful eyes stared at Lin Chun, trying to see through the 9-colored star in his palm. Under everyone's gaze, Lin Chun raised his palm and pushed it, smiling slightly. Go! Whoosh! The nine tribulation star turned into a nine-colored aurora and shot toward the attacks of the two, like ants crashing into a lion and a tiger. Only a few people's pupils trembled, and they discovered that where the nine-colored aurora passed, there were actually faint spatial cracks left behind. The void trembled, and the nine-colored star actually split into five. Chi! Rumble! The five nine-colored starlights collided head-on, with the blood moon frightening dragon and the blazing sun sword aura, and the entire sea region shook. The nine-colored light pillar that reached the heavens and the earth rose. In its extremely gorgeous beauty, there was a wave that could destroy the heavens and the earth. The nine-colored light pillar trembled violently and slowly disappeared in the endless storm of sword aura and saber aura. And Chi Hong and Mo Shiwe suffered different injuries in the energy surge of the nine-colored light pillar. Chi Hong retreated in time and only consumed a lot of Saint Chi. Mo Shiwe's defense was penetrated by a little nine-colored Saint Chi, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He took it. Lin Shun took the strongest attack of the two. It's too scary. Challenging someone of a higher level. This is a real challenge of someone of a higher level. Although a part of their strength was affected by those strange energy attacks, they can still exert at least 80% of their strength. He still took their orange-level unique techniques. Although he's not on the demon list, he's better than the demon list. Everyone exclaimed. The terrifying energy aftermath shattered one of the 3 layers of energy shields on Kirin Island. Bang! Another wave rose before the first wave subsided. Lin Chen's position suddenly exploded with earth-shaking Saint Chi fluctuations, and a nine-colored holy light rose. Lin Chen, whose silver robe billowed like fire and whose entire body was burning with orange-red flames, slowly walked out of the nine-colored holy light with a saber. This aura is actually not inferior to that of Mo Shiwe. What's going on? This Lin Shun can actually go to a higher level? Oh my god, to what extent does he want to go against the heavens? Isn't his real cultivation at the War Emperor level? All the saints were shocked. At this moment, the woman in red's expression changed slightly. There was astonishment and curiosity, and it was especially exciting. Chapter 1056. As Lin Shun walked out of the nine-colored holy light, 21 hexagonal stars flickered all over his body. 21 saint points, early third heaven saint realm. Lin Shun had actually reached the third heaven saint realm. All of this wasn't a fluke. It had been planned long ago. However, what was even more serious was Lin Chen's condition. His life force was constantly flowing away, like the last ray of light before the fall of the pole star. The absolute life and death talent burned his life force, increasing Lin Chen's strength by more than 100,000 times. His cultivation was second only to himself when he entered the sun god state during the battle of the fake gods. Retreat quickly. Mo Shiwe and Chi Hong were old and shrewd. They knew that things were not going well. Lin Chen looked like he was going to risk his life. Just as he was about to use his movement technique to travel through the void, Chi. Boom! 2 grayish-white talismans appeared, freezing the space to an incomparably solid and sluggish state, restricting the movements of the two. This was Lin Chen's strongest slow rune so far. It consumed 1,400 points of rune energy. Not good. Their hearts skipped a beat. The moment the slow rune exploded, many attacks rolled up above the heads of all the saints. Lightning flashed, violent winds surged, and a sandstorm raged. Host has activated 13 high-level blue rank killing moves. Remaining killing moves, 0. Lin Shun had used the last batch of killing moves. Under the attack of 2 waves of killing moves, all the saints' movements were completely restricted. Everything was so natural and smooth. It was as if everything had been planned in advance. Clang! A bright blue saber light reverberated like a dragon's roar. The young man stood with his saber. With a single saber in his hand, Lin Chen's domineering aura surged. His eyes were incomparably firm and sharp. He revealed his ambition to kill a saint. From the beginning to the end, he hadn't wavered. A surge of saber aura surged from Lin Chen's body. Everyone was intimidated by his imposing manner. Sovereign's Descent talent activated. Accumulated energy, 500 million points. It will increase the host's next attack. I've been waiting for this moment. So what if you're a sage? So what if you're a sword saint? So what if you're a sun moon hall? Die. Lin Chen let out a thunderous roar, swiftly brandishing his saber and chopping down. Boom! The bright blue moon throbbed and trembled slightly. The blade split open, a blazing white light that spanned across the sky. The snow-white saber light spun 360 degrees at an extremely fast speed. Wherever it passed, the sky was shredded. The world was illuminated by this dazzling brilliance, and it was reflected in everyone's heart. A sorrowful aura appeared in everyone's heart. TSK. The saber light trembled and split into 5. This slash was Lin Chen's strongest attack after entering the sacred boundary. Godslayer plus Absolute Life and Death plus Sovereign's Descent plus Flicker Shadow. Double purple and double orange talents. 5 rapidly spinning snow-white saber lights stirred up the sea and slashed towards 16 different sage stage cultivators. Oh no! The power of this slash is far greater than any battle technique he's used before. It's at least twice as powerful as my Blood Moon startling dragon. What kind of saber technique is this? While the sages were terrified, they frantically activated their defensive trump cards. What no one expected was that. Bang! A loud explosion rang out. The 5 rapidly spinning snow-white saber lights suddenly exploded into shards of light that filled the sky. The saber light enveloped the area within a radius of several hundred miles. The 16 sages' eyes trembled with fear. They were trapped by the sure kill attack and had no chance of avoiding this terrifying attack. The moment the terrifying saber aura exploded into shards, its power increased exponentially. The shards of saber aura drifted in the air like a rain of flowers, crushing the wind and clouds. Bang! 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 The shards of saber aura rained down on the sages' holy light defenses like a violent storm. Everyone was dumbfounded. Every shard of saber aura could penetrate the body of an 8-stage sage stage beast. These thousands of saber aura shards bombarded the 16 sages, piercing through their colorful holy light defenses. The sages were badly mutilated as they fell into the void. No matter how many techniques they used, they could not block the endless saber aura shards that pierced through their bodies like a violent storm. The 4 sages of the Dark Pavilion, Pavilion Master Ing Mia, Patriarch Ing Tianma, and the other sages, perished under the destruction of the saber aura shards. Before they died, their eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Even the 2 sages of the 1,000 Gold Chamber of Commerce, the 8 Gates Mystic Escape, the 7-star armor, and a series of defensive sage artifacts, were only able to block the first wave of attacks before they were penetrated by the saber aura shards. Their flesh exploded, and their holy light shattered. The 5 sages from the Mystic Realm, Mist Sage, Cicada Sage, and the others, were even worse. Most of them only had 8 to 10 sage points. Under the sure kill attack, they were annihilated into nothingness by the saber aura shards. The Qin family sword sage, Qin Jintian, used his sure kill sword technique to block for a moment before he was crushed into a bloody mist by the sure kill attack and the saber aura shards. The target of the life and death talent has died. The talent state has been removed. The Canghai Saint had an unconcealable sense of fear and joy. Fortunately, his opponent was Ao Qing of the innumerable Green Palace. If he was hit by this saber, even if he didn't die, he would be crippled. Ao Qing's old face twitched as he said with a trembling voice, as expected of the person that the previous palace master told us to befriend. With this saber, This child is qualified to enter the demon genius ranking. A moment later, the sea surged violently. Kirin Cloud Island welcomed a strange silence. For the geniuses on the genius ranking, this was destined to be an unforgettable scene. The terrifying waves caused Kirin Cloud Island to be on the verge of collapse. Fortunately, Feng Quan and Saint One Brow did their best to suppress the waves, so Kirin Cloud Island didn't flip over. In the void, the silver-robed youth stood tall. When a ray of dawn illuminated Kirin Cloud Island, it sprinkled on the youth's childish face. His entire body flowed with red clouds as he stood with his saber in hand. He was majestic, and his calm appearance revealed a domineering aura that looked down on the world. He was like a god that had descended to the mortal world. All the sages stopped fighting. The sages of man, you swallowed their saliva with difficulty. That bear saint trembled and said, What saber technique is this? Everyone was shocked by this saber. It was like a saber of a god that could cut through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. My eyes. The geniuses realized that 2 streams of tears were flowing down their cheeks. It wasn't just the geniuses. Everyone who saw this saber either shed tears or felt heartbroken. Even the sages had tears in their eyes. What saber technique is this? Some sages mumbled as if they were in a dream. In the void, Lin Chun smiled and said, In the ancient times, there were gods whose tears left no trace. This saber technique is called God's Tears. Orange grade saber technique, God's Tears. The woman in red fell into deep thought. Doubled? No, it's close to doubling. Without a doubt, this is an orange grade saber technique. The moment it was released, not only did it split into 5, the power of the 5 saber lights also increased by nearly 2 times. The woman in red from the Divine Flame Palace clicked her tongue in wonder. Powerful. I originally thought that the 9-colored star was this little guy's trump card. I didn't expect him to still have this hidden move. This level of saber technique, even in my Divine Flame Palace, would be considered one of the best. The ancestors of the Chun family stared blankly ahead. Their hearts turned cold, and their hairs stood on end. At this moment, there were no longer any sages in front of Lin Chun. The 4 sages of the Dark Pavilion, all dead. The 5 sages of the Mystic Realm, all dead. The 3 sages of the 1,000 Gold Association, Sword Saint Qin Jintian, all dead. The 2 sages of Xuanyu, 1 dead and 1 injured. Qi Hong of the Hongtian Hall, and Mo Shiyue of the Sun Moon Hall, all seriously injured and fled. They didn't even care about their own geniuses. Shock. Shock that made their teeth chatter uncontrollably. 1 saber to kill 10 sages. No, to be precise, 1 saber to kill 14 sages. 1 battle to shock the heavens. The ancestor of the Chun family muttered, This is the descending god of the Black Horse Club. Lin Chun. Chapter 1057. Lin Chun heaved a sigh of relief, feeling extremely carefree. It was as if his soul had undergone some kind of sublimation and transformation. In the depths of Lin Chen's eyes, there seemed to be some charm. Advancing to the saint realm required the accumulation of a person's lifetime potential and foundation. This kind of accumulation came from the tempering of a person's soul. Lin Chen didn't know that in the near future, his experience of slaughtering saints would bring him great benefits. This kind of benefit couldn't be erased. It would all explode at the most intense and dazzling moment of one's life. The geniuses of the Sun Moon Hall were dumbfounded. Ran away. Their almost invincible senior brother, Mo Shiyue, had actually been beaten away. He had directly left them behind. What did this mean? This meant that Lin Chun had the ability to kill him. If he hadn't run, he would have died without a doubt. Other than Qi Hong, Mo Shiyue, and an old antique from Xuanyu, the rest of the saints had fallen. 14 saints had fallen. In the 36 regions, this could only happen in some large-scale holy wars. Becoming a saint wasn't inferior to ascending to the heavens. There were 100,000 geniuses on the Sacred Boundaries genius ranking, and it was unknown how many of them had stopped at the gates of the Saint Realm. Today, the geniuses present had witnessed a youth on the genius ranking kill 14 saints in a row. He had severely injured 2 third heaven saints. This wasn't a coincidence. Lin Chun had premeditated this. The accumulation of the sovereign's descent talent's energy had begun when Lin Chun had encountered more than 70 geniuses from the barbarian realm. He had fought fiercely on Rainbow Island and hadn't used the accumulated energy of the sovereign's descent. It was all for this final moment. He had gambled on this strongest killing move. Originally, Lin Chun had planned to use the 9 Tribulation Star as the final blow. However, after entering the Godslayer state, he had unexpectedly discovered that he had reached the cultivation foundation of God's Tears. He had saved his trump card for God's Tears. He had deliberately delayed the battle for 2 reasons. First, he wanted to burn the absolute life and death talent to the extreme. Second, he wanted to buy time for his doppelganger to integrate the cultivation memories of God's Tears. Orange Tear combat skill, so powerful. Lin Chen's eyes flashed with excitement. Originally, when I used a half-orange grade technique to boost my power to the orange grade, I could only fight a 3rd level saint. However, after using Instant Light Clone, I can fight 2 saints head-on. However, I can't completely break through their defenses. I can only rely on my innate ability to deal damage to them. However, the Sovereign's Descent only amplifies the strength by 1. 8 times. It's not even 2 times, but it can still break through the defenses of a 3rd Heaven True Saint. The foundation of an orange rank combat skill is too powerful. Even if the charging rune couldn't be used on orange rank combat skills, Lin Chun could use the enhance to increase the power of orange rank combat skills by 2 or 3 times. At that time, how powerful would he be? Lin Chun released the Dragon Emperor and frantically collected the attribute light orbs dropped by the fallen saints. Obtained 158 rune energy, 129 heavens path points, 195 cultivation soul essences, 20,000 strengthening points, 50,000 strengthening points, 40,000 strengthening points, 145 talent points. Even if the Godslayer innate ability reduced the drop of attributes, there were still hundreds of attribute light orbs. After all, this was achieved at the cost of 13 Saint Stage cultivators. If they had fought head-on, the 16 saints wouldn't have ended so badly. However, they had been delayed by Lin Chen's killing moves. In addition, the strongest Mo Shiyue and Qi Hong had just released their strongest killing moves and were exhausted from defending. Lin Chan was close to a breakthrough in his cultivation and used the slowing rune to seal the 2 strongest saints. It was a pity that there were no ifs in this world. Lin Chen's plan could be considered to have been executed perfectly. He had truly accomplished this shocking feat of slaughtering a group of saints by himself. How about it, everyone? Do you still want to fight? The members of the Black Horse Club have always been indifferent to life and death when fighting. If there are any saints who want to fight, I will accompany you to the end. Lin Chen laughed loudly. Even though he was bathed in blood, his fighting spirit was still boiling. Even though the life and death ultimatum had been dispelled and his saint points decreased back to 20, his fighting spirit did not decrease at all. This time, no one dared to accept the challenge. Those who were clamoring for Lin Chun to pay with his blood were all terrified. The 4 saints of the Man region and the 4 saints of the Chun clan. No one dared to make a sound. Yay! Master is so awesome. I knew that Master would make it through. Shunling Shuang excitedly waved her little fists. The lady in red let out a rare smile. Not bad indeed. It exceeded my expectations. Country Lord Fu Sheng shook his head and exclaimed, "My future son-in-law, Jundak Shuai, has really joined a powerful sect. I wonder if I can still pull him back to be my son-in-law." Sun Yue, Yu Qingli, and Yu Yulan were in a daze whether it was an illusion or a coincidence. They actually saw the shadow of Jundak Shuai and Lin Chun. That Shanghai Saint looked at Lin Chun and said, "The student has surpassed the master. Young friend's strength has opened my eyes." This old man will not accompany you any further. The 100 Saints Gate will remember this debt. Whoosh. After he finished speaking, the Shanghai Saint stretched out his hand and grabbed the few remaining geniuses of the 100 Saints Gate. In an instant, they disappeared into the void and left Chelan Island. The most troublesome third heaven true saint has also escaped. Let's take this opportunity to work with the other true saints and cripple the Chun clan and Man Yu first. The Godslayer state does not have much time left. Let's take this opportunity to injure as many as we can. Lin Chun looked at the saints of the Man Yu and Chun clan again, and a murderous light flashed in his eyes. The 8 saints' hearts skipped a beat. F***CK, this brat still wants to fight. Rumble. A loud explosion rang through the air, and the scene changed. A holy song resounded through the air, and 1,000 rays of white light shone brightly like the moon above the sea, illuminating the entire Chelan Island. The sea breeze blew past the woman's long hair. She was dressed in a white dress, and her body was like the moon. She walked out of the 1,000 rays of light, and her aura was otherworldly. I want to see who has the guts to kill the disciples of my Sun Moon Hall today. The moment the woman appeared, the eyes of Saint King Fu, poisoned Saint King Yu, and the other true saints trembled in fear. This aura was more than 10 times stronger than a third heaven true saint. Fourth heaven true saint. She still came. A fourth heaven true saint was more threatening than all the other true saints present. Shit. Lin Chun is about to... The king was about to say something. Rumble. A violent, dark green tornado blew from the north to the south, sweeping up tens of thousands of stormy waves on the surface of the sea, surging and slapping the waves. A crack appeared in the dark green tornado, and an old man in plain clothes poked his head out. He coughed lightly a few times. Cough, cough, cough. His voice was clearly transmitted to everyone's ears, and all the geniuses present felt as though they had been knocked on the head. Little fellow, you're Lin Chun from the Black Horse Club? Come with me. The geniuses of my Hantian Hall are not people you can kill as you wish. The old man in plain clothes coughed a few times, and pink clouds appeared from the west. A pink cloud slowly rose up, and a graceful woman could be seen faintly within the cloud. She seemed to be meticulous, and her jade-like skin was faintly discernible under the pink cloud. Her graceful figure could make one's lust become restless. Many of the male geniuses below Chelan Island felt their mouths go dry. The woman in the clouds was hidden in the hazy pink clouds, and she looked especially alluring. The charming woman in the clouds chuckled at Lin Chun. Io, little brother, you're still a virgin. Come over and let sister hug you. Lin Chun's eyes narrowed. If it wasn't for his extraordinary spiritual power, he would have already fallen for this woman's charm. Extremely powerful. All of them are fourth heaven true saints. They're many times stronger than Mo, Shiyue, and Qi Hong. In Lin Chun's heart, there was a desperate hysteria. So what if they were fourth heaven true saints? The word surrender didn't exist in his dictionary. Chapter 1058. The atmosphere in the air was extremely stifling. 3 fourth heaven true saints had appeared, and they were from the Hantian Hall, the Sun Moon Hall, and the 100 Saints Gate. Every single one of them was enough to suppress Lin Chun. Ao Qing from the innumerable Green Palace appeared beside Lin Chun with a bitter expression on her face. This is bad. Poison Saint Yu and the heavenly ghost divination palace's true saints cursed in their hearts. The fourth heaven true saint realm is the expanded cavern realm. Every time a saint cavern is opened, the space in the saint cavern will expand, and the amount of saint chi it can hold will increase exponentially. Even if we attack together, we won't be able to stop them. The fourth heaven true saint realm was the dividing line in the true saint realm. A direct descendant of a third heaven true saint could be ranked in the top 40,000 on the genius ranking. However, a fourth heaven true saint with a fourth heaven true saint bloodline could produce a super genius ranked in the top 20,000 on the genius ranking. Hee hee, this little fellow is in trouble. I didn't expect these sects to send out a fourth heaven true saint. The lady in red smiled. Shunling Shuang, who was beside her, wanted to say something but stopped. She smiled at Shunling Shuang and said, "Don't worry. Your master's performance has already exceeded my expectations. If necessary, I will save him. After all, with his strength, it's impossible for him to fight against a fourth heaven true saint. Even those on the monstrous geniuses ranking can't do that." "Elder Qingyu, you're finally here. It's him. He's the one who injured senior brother, Mo Shiyue, and killed Nangong." The lady in the Sun Moon Hall sobbed as she transmitted her voice to Qingyu. When the lady in the moon dress heard the transmission, her face turned frosty. Moonlight swirled around her fingertips, and her expression turned frosty. Lin Shen didn't panic in the face of danger, and he laughed mockingly. "Everyone, you want to capture me, but I'm alone. How do you want to split the spoils?" The charming woman hiding in the pink cloud giggled and said, "Little guy, don't play such a low-level trick of sowing discord. It's useless. If you cripple your own arms now, you still have a chance to live. Otherwise, Big Sister will be very ruthless." "Oh." Lin Shen raised his eyebrows and chuckled. "How ruthless? I like ruthless people. I'm afraid that the more ruthless you are, the more I like you." After saying that, Lin Shen tightened his grip on the Aries wristband. "Looks like this little guy doesn't know the rules. Let's just cripple him." In the pitch-black void, a crack was torn open. An old, yellowed hand reached out and grabbed at Lin Shen. It was so bizarre that even Ao Qing barely managed to react. She did not have the time to protect Lin Shen. Life and death, absolute strength. Lin Shen mustered up all his strength. The charge penetration rune boosted his 7 ultimate strength to the orange tier. Lin Shen's fist blasted out. Bang! Fist and palm collided. The sound of bones breaking came from Lin Shen's left arm. Lin Shen's pure power, which was like millions upon millions of dragons, seemed to have struck a boundless sea of stars, and all of its strength was negated. "Oh, you're a little monster. You have some skills." The plainclothed old man was slightly surprised. He was about to attack again when Lin Shen moved at full speed with Little Dark Shadow. He barely dodged and retreated to the side. "Damn, this old man is so powerful. He can suppress my full power with just a casual attack. If he fights seriously, I'm afraid I won't even be able to last 3 rounds." Lin Shen was shocked. The strength of a fourth heaven saint was several levels higher than Mo Shiyue's. Even if he could use God's tier again, and its power could reach the level of the attack that killed 14 saints, it would be difficult to cause any real damage to this old man. The lady in red shook her head and laughed. As expected, a fourth heaven saint is too early for him to face. Just as the lady in red was about to attack, she realized that Lin Shen had not given up yet. "So what if you're a fourth heaven saint? You guys forced me today. If you want to take my life, I'll kill as many as you can." Lin Shen laughed wildly and put on the Aries wristband on his right hand. Buzz, rumble. Millions of golden rays of light surged out from Lin Shen's body. A Aries wristband aura that could rival the myriad worlds erupted from Lin Shen's body. It was as if the Aries wristband had descended to the mortal world, unparalleled in the world. Lin Shen's eyes turned golden as he exuded a domineering battle intent and tyrannical aura. His pure strength soared in a straight line. The lady in red narrowed her eyes, as if she wanted to see through Lin Shen. Her lips curled into an excited smile. "What's that?" The faces of all the Saint Realm experts present changed abruptly. "He still has a trump card? Oh my god, how many trump cards does this Lin Shen have? 3 billion dragon power points, 6 billion dragon power points, 10 billion dragon power points." It was still rising. Lin Shen's strength broke through the sky in half a breath's time. Divine light shone, and golden light shot out. Lin Shen's body was covered in boundless golden light, and golden light flowed around his body like a coiling dragon. The boundless energy surging out from the Aries wristband caused the heavens and earth to tremble and the sea to tremble. What is that thing? Saint Artifact? That's not right. When he took out the wristband, there wasn't any strange phenomenon. It can't be a Saint Artifact. This time, Lin Shen was no longer as wretched as before. He could barely control the strength of the Aries wristband. In the state of the Godslayer, he was much stronger than when he was in the War Emperor realm. What kind of realm has my pure strength reached? In the end, even Lin Shen couldn't tell what realm his strength had reached. There's something strange about this brat. Attack! Kill him! The 3/4 Heaven True Saints felt a sense of danger coming from Lin Shen's body, and they immediately launched their attacks. The lady in the moon-colored dress waved her hand, and the moonlight turned into a huge net that enveloped Lin Shen. Pink clouds filled the air, and 3 pink arrows shot out. The old man in the linen robe pointed at the void, and a wind dragon charged towards Lin Shen. The attacks of the 3/4 Heaven True Saints didn't seem as powerful as the previous True Saints. However, if one looked closely, it was as though the spiritual energy around them had been reduced to nothingness. So what if you're in the 4th heaven of the True Saints? Break for me. Lin Shen didn't care about anything else this time. He raised his fist and punched towards the sky. His fist was like an abyss, and golden light flashed as he punched out with pure strength. Pooh! Pum! The wind dragon exploded, and the moonlight net was reduced to nothingness. The pink arrows were reduced to ashes, and the attacks of the 3/4 Heaven True Saints were destroyed by a single punch. The golden light exploded, and the terrifying aftershock turned the sky upside down. The expressions of the 200 True Saints changed, and they retreated in shock. Lin Shen's punch caused the wind and clouds to change, and the sky and earth to turn upside down. The entire sea was split into 2 sides, and huge waves thousands of feet high rose from both sides. It was as though the sky and earth had been turned upside down. Rumble! The terrifying energy shockwave completely shattered Chilan Island's energy barrier. Seiji Fuzumi and Saint One Eyebrow vomited blood at the same time. Oh no, we won't be able to protect these little fellows. The 2 saints' expressions changed slightly, and a beautiful red figure flashed onto Kirin Cloud Island. Her long, slender, snow-white legs shook lightly. Rumble! The beauty held Shun Lingshuang's hand, and with a sudden stomp of her foot, Kirin Cloud Island, which had almost been overturned, instantly stabilized in the stormy sea. Many Genius Rankings experts stared at the lady in red with incomparable shock. Between heaven and earth, she could stabilize the overturned space with just a stomp of her foot. What terrifying strength! Thank you for your help. The 2 saints cupped their fists in shock and gratitude. The lady in red ignored the 2 of them, and her beautiful eyes were fixed on the sky. Interesting. Ha ha ha. Lin Shen, I'm looking forward to your future more and more. Chapter 1059. Lin Shen's performance far exceeded the red-dressed girl's expectations. Lin Shen's punch seemed to have used up half of his strength. He was panting heavily, but the excitement in his eyes could not be concealed when he saw the 3 sages being pushed back dozens of miles. In the past, he had used this god of war bracer to push back the severely injured Lin Xingchen with just 2 finger flicks, not to mention the punch that was thrown out. Even when 3 4th-layer saints joined forces, they were still pushed back a great distance by him. The god of war bracer is indeed terrifying. It seems like this is only a part of the set system. If I collect the entire God of War set, won't I be able to kill sages and kill gods? This was just a thought. Lin Shen knew that the God of War bracer required a strong physique to withstand part of its power. Without a strong physique, everything was useless. The auras of the 3 sages are still stable and powerful. My punch only pushed them back and did not hurt them. They still have energy left, but I can't fight for a long time with the god of war bracer. Although I can use my strength to shake them, I will be the one at a disadvantage if I fight them head-on. It's time to run. The arrival of a fourth stage sage is indeed beyond my expectations. Lin Shen flicked his finger. His power shattered the void and shot out a beam of golden light that was filled with pure power. Then, Lin Shen retreated rapidly. Little dark shadow wrapped around his body, and he escaped through the void. The woman in the moon-colored dress waved her hand, and her sage chi condensed into a beam of moonlight. Bang! Lin Shen's finger flicks were shattered. He's trying to escape. The woman in pink narrowed her eyes and chased after him on her pink cloud. The old man in plain clothes was uncertain. How dare you compete in speed in front of me? Kid, you're not qualified. He transformed into a dark green storm, and the three of them immediately chased after Lin Shen. The woman in red looked in the direction the three of them left, but she did not chase after them. Instead, she slowly closed her eyes and frowned. Heavenly Ghost Fortune Teller and the other sages were powerless. The four of them were extremely fast, and they could not catch up at all. Shunling Shuang was beside the woman in red, and her heart was burning with anxiety. Faster, faster. Lin Shen urged in his heart as he continuously flapped his sacred phoenix wings. Little Shadow shuttled him through space, leaping great distances time and time again. But soon, seeing the three flickering figures behind him approaching, Lin Shen raised his hand and flicked his finger again. Pure power condensed and shot out a stream of golden light, exploding between the three saints. Lin Shen wasn't running away randomly. Instead, he was running in one direction. At this moment, the system screen popped up. Lin Shen's movement technique had increased by a large margin. Automatic upgrade of Dragon Flash plus 15 succeeded. Power increase 90%. A total of 38 failures. A total of 970,000 enhancement points consumed. This brat's speed actually increased dramatically. It's his movement technique. What incredible speed. This kind of movement technique is the strongest among half-orange tier movement techniques. Coupled with his sacred phoenix wings and the help of the innate shadow attribute, only an orange tier movement technique can achieve such speed at his cultivation level. The linen-clothed old man narrowed his eyes. In the next moment, he was horrified. Oh no, he's running in the direction of the Purple Cloud King Valley. The expressions of the two ladies beside him changed slightly. The Purple Cloud King Valley was a legendary aristocratic family. Its foundation was far beyond that of fifth-rank sect. Looks like I'll have to bring out some trump cards. The linen-clothed old man, who was the fastest, was riding the dark green hurricane. In a flash, he stepped onto a millstone-like acupoint. His Saint Chi was rapidly depleted, and his speed suddenly increased. In a flash, he was actually closing in on Lin Shen at a speed visible to the naked eye. Consumed 4,000 points of high-grade rune energy to activate the level 6 rune of slowing. A grayish-white talisman fell from the sky and exploded behind Lin Shen. The linen-clothed old man's speed slowed down slightly. The difference between the strength of a 4th Heaven True Saint and a 3rd Heaven True Saint was huge. Lin Shen had consumed 1/3 of the rune energy he had just obtained. The moment he activated the super powerful rune of slowing, he turned around and flicked his finger again. Rip! Bang! The golden light hit the linen-clothed old man, who was caught off guard. Although he was sent flying, the holy light circulating around his body absorbed most of the damage and impact. Damn it! Why does this brat have so many strange moves? The linen-clothed old man flew into a rage out of humiliation. The lady in the moon-colored dress and the lady in the pink cloud immediately chased after him. The four of them formed a line of pursuit. Wherever they passed, there would be explosions, and the air would surge and howl. All the saints who sensed the presence of the four of them did not dare to casually spy on them. They were intimidated by the terrifying aura of a 4th Heaven True Saint and hid themselves. On a continental plate in the southern region, Purple chi came from the east, and the clouds were steaming. 10 mountain ranges intertwined like crouching dragons, majestic and imposing. Pavilions and palaces stood in great numbers. A powerful spatial barrier protected the surroundings. In the center was a valley with rising purple clouds. The valley extended to countless levels underground, and a city was cast in the sky. It was very majestic, like the ruins of an ancient civilization. In the center of the valley, inside an ancient tower, two old men suddenly opened their eyes. The spatial barrier 30,000 miles from the north to the south has been broken. Who dares to barge into our King Valley? There seems to be more than one person. Let's go take a look. The two old men's figures flashed, and they disappeared. In the southern sky, the two old men's figures appeared. Boom! A sonic boom rang out. The two old men focused their eyes and looked. It was a young man being chased by 3 fourth heaven true saints. Who are you? Just as the two old men were about to stop the young man who was covered in blood, he took out a light purple token and pointed it at the two old men. The word king was clearly carved on the token. This is the little demon empress token. Seeing this token is like seeing the Valley Master. Only the little demon empress has this token. She actually gave it to this young man. Where did he come from? No matter where he came from, we have to save him first. The two old men's eyes shone brightly. This token was not a small matter, and the battle chi seal on it had already been broken. It was obvious that its owner had given it to this young man voluntarily, and this young man had not taken it by force or picked it up by chance. If she had given it to him voluntarily, it was obvious that the little demon empress had an ambiguous relationship with him. What if he was the future son-in-law of the King Valley? They could not afford to be careless. Boom! The two old men were like a flash of light, blocking the 3 people in front of them. They sent out a palm print with purple clouds sweeping across the land, stopping the 3 people in midair. The woman in the moon dress shattered the palm print with her bare hands and said with a frosty expression, "You too. What is the meaning of this?" The plain-clothed old man immediately cupped his hands. "You too, this old man is Hong Tian Hall's Feng Zhan Tian, and these two are the grand elders of the 100 Saints Gate and Sun Moon Hall. We are pursuing this young man together, and I hope that you will give us some face." "No need to give us any face. Our Purple Cloud King Valley will protect this young man. Touching him is making an enemy out of our King Valley." The two old men's words were shocking. They actually protected Lin Chun in one move. Lin Chun was dumbfounded. Wasn't this a little too strong? They didn't even ask about my background and directly protected me? My little demoness is amazing. The token she gave me is so important in Purple Cloud King Valley. Lin Chun also did not expect that the little demoness token would be so useful. Chapter 1060. Lin Chun knew the location of Zixia King Valley. He wanted to use the token to distract the 3 of them and then try to escape. He did not expect them to protect him. Lin Chun took off the war god's wristband, and a sense of exhaustion washed over him. The injured little shadow immediately went back to the Taoyuan plant pouch and swallowed a large number of elixirs and long Kingwo. The Aries bracer dimmed and was not as powerful as before. This time, Lin Chun used it but did not let it absorb enough attribute light balls. It seemed to lack energy. Lin Chun did not say anything and used the stealing omen on the 5 sages. Consumed 1,269 talent points. Stolen attribute points. 700 advanced water energy. 820 advanced wind energy. 2,990 advanced rune energy. 2,800,000 strengthening points. 900 advanced gold energy. With a boom, Lin Chun's 9-colored fate wheel absorbed more elemental energy. Gasp! Lin Chun sucked in a breath of cold air. They were indeed masters of stage for sages. The stolen attributes were so high that it made one's hair stand on end. The 3 of them looked gloomy. Pink Beauty giggled as a chill flashed between her brows. The people from Purple Cloud King Valley are so domineering. Let me have a taste of your skills. Swoosh! She waved her sleeves, and a gust of wind blew. Her slender fingers shot out a ray of cold light that tore through the air and attacked the two of them. The other two used a silver moon, and their battle aura transformed into a black wind dragon. They faced the two elders head-on. You three have just reached the acupoint expansion stage. How dare you be so presumptuous in my King Valley? The two elders' holy chi shot up into the sky. They turned into two rays of light and fought with the three of them. Lin Shen was speechless. The two elders were more powerful than the three of them. Even he could only see a few shadows. The battle between the five of them did not cause any destruction. The holy chi around the two elders of the King Valley was like teleportation. Many of the aftershocks of the battle were eliminated. As a result, the Purple Cloud King Valley's territory didn't suffer from any impactful disasters. But Lin Shen could clearly see that the space where the five saints battled was shattering with abyss-like cracks every time. It was especially terrifying. In less than a quarter of an hour, the two sides separated. The three of them were in a mess. Although they were not injured, they had used up a lot of their saint chi. It was a very serious matter for a saint to consume too much holy chi, and there were limited ways to replenish it. Needless to say, there was no need to mention the price of being injured. In the absence of a divine pill, one could only rely on self-healing. Therefore, ordinary saints would not fight seriously. The masters of the King's Valley live up to their reputation. The woman in the moon dress said with a slightly pale face. Hee brat, today you have the protection of an expert from the Purple Cloud King Valley, but that might not be the case in the future, the charming woman laughed coldly. She was shrouded in a pink cloud as she drifted away. Forget it. Apprehending this brat is just a convenient task for this old man. This is still the home ground of the Violet Cloud King Valley, so there is no need for us to fight to the death. The plain-clothed old man sighed in his heart and also left. The woman in the moon dress, who was the most indignant, glared at Lin Shen fiercely before leaving in a flash. Little brat, we have blocked the strong enemy for you. You should tell us about your relationship with the daughter of our valley. The two old men smiled as they walked toward Lin Shen. Just as he was about to salute the two old men, the God Slayer talent state was deactivated, and the time limit was up. The moment the God Slayer talent state was deactivated, Lin Shen was bleeding from all 7 orifices. The moment before he fainted, Lin Shen hurriedly swallowed a glazed Bodhi seed and urged the Dragon Emperor to help refine it. Then, he fainted and fell to the ground. Chiyun Island. This little brat is actually related to the Purple Cloud King Valley. Looks like he also had a lot of encounters. The woman in the red dress opened her eyes, and a trace of surprise flashed past her eyes. Shun Ling Shuang asked anxiously, Sister, how is my master? She smiled and said, He's fine. Your master has already arrived at the Purple Cloud King Valley, and there are already people protecting him. Although he is heavily injured, at least his life is not in danger. As soon as she said this, the prodigies all gasped in shock. Too strong. This Lin Shen was too heaven-defying. One emperor fought against a group of saints, killed 14 saints, and escaped from the hands of 3 fourth-layer saints. Since ancient times, how many legends in the sacred boundary had this kind of ability? Country Lord Fu Sheng clicked his tongue in wonder. Who would have thought that Lin Shen would have this kind of relationship? Poison Seiju smiled and said, How impressive. Whether it is the Shintoku show, the Jundok Shui, or this Lin Shen, this Black Horse Club is a group of monsters. Sigh. Chun Wuming, that brat. How did he attract such a plague to our Chun family? Forget it. Let's find another chance. As long as that brat has not truly entered the Saint Realm, we still have a chance. If he does, we won't have another chance to catch him. The Saint Realm experts of the Barbarian Realm and Chun family left angrily. After today's battle, they had seen clearly how heaven-defying this young man was. Without a 4th Heaven True Saints Foundation, they did not have the qualifications to hunt him down. However, 4th Heaven True Saints were rare in the 4th grade sex. Even if there were, they would be the last person to hold the fort. It was extremely difficult to mobilize them, not to mention coming out of seclusion for a young man. They had seen the consequences of provoking this brat clearly. The secret pavilion was basically annihilated. The secret pavilion had 8 saints, and 6 of them had fallen while chasing Lin Chun. The 1,000 Gold Association was the same. Since their president had died here, the association was bound to suffer heavy losses. The other 5 saints from the various forces of the mystic realm were no exception. This number of Saint Realm experts had only occurred in the ancient Holy War or the Eternal War. No one had expected that this number would come from a young man on the genius ranking. I want to see Master. No, you should return to the palace. I can't leave the palace for too long. This time, you should cultivate properly. Only when you're strong can you help your master. Oh, from the beginning to the end, the lady in red did not look at any of the saints on Kirin Cloud Island. She only looked at Ning Qingxian meaningfully before leaving with Shun Lingshuang. Our heavenly ghost divination palace did not make a wrong bet. Next, let's wait for this little guy to become a Saint Realm expert. The ancestor of the heavenly ghost divination palace stroked his beard and laughed. Heavenly monarch Fu Sheng and his entourage flew through the air. He smiled at the heavenly ghost divination palace's people, masters of fortune tellers from the mystic realm. Since we're all here to help little friend Lin Chun, it can be said that we're fated to meet each other. Next, when the southern region's holy burial mountain range opens, shall we go and take a look? The ancestor laughed. Heavenly Ghost Divination Palace's master, I've heard a lot about you. I've heard of the holy burial mountain range. Since we're here, let's go. Yu Qingli pursed her lips. Father, are we going to see young Master Jundak Shuai? The Heavenly Ghost Divination Palace's master smiled and shook his head. That powerful lady said that they already have the protection of the Purple Cloud King Valley. That area is not a place where ordinary people can enter. Without special permission, even I cannot enter. Moreover, I have a feeling that the Black Horse Club will be heading to the Holy Burial Mountain Range. We think alike. Heavenly Ghost Divination Palace's master, please. The two forces looked at each other, and the geniuses of Kirin Cloud Island left amidst a wave of sighs and exclamations. After this battle, Lin Chun and the Black Horse Club's names would spread throughout the sacred boundaries' younger generation. The geniuses were led to leave one after another. Qing Xian, let's go. Elder Ao Qing took Ning Qingxian away. She said with a serious face, No, I'm going to the Holy Burial Mountain Range to wait for him. After being unconscious for an unknown period of time, Lin Chen opened his eyes. He was in a secret room. After sensing the injuries all over his body, a wry smile appeared on Lin Chen's face. It looked like the price of using the War God Bracers was either a cultivation base with 20 holy points, or he had to endure the aftereffects while in the God Slayer state. Otherwise, his body would be implicated. What a pity. Most of the storage rings of the dozen or so sages were sliced into pieces by the saber intent of the God's tier. F*CK. I've probably lost 100 million. How could a sage's treasure be so simple? Lin Chun was a little annoyed. His God's tier had swept through the 14 sages, but it had also destroyed all of the storage rings of the sage stage cultivators. The items in the storage rings had basically been reduced to dust, and even the attribute points hadn't dropped by much. At this moment, a playful laugh sounded. Little guy, your vitality is not bad. Although you have the glazed Bodhi seed, you've already woken up after just a few days. An elder in azure robes was already sitting cross-legged in the air within the secret room, sizing him up with interest. Lin Chun said gratefully, Senior, thank you for saving me. The elder in azure waved his hand. That's another matter. Let me ask you, how did you get your Zixia royal token? And what's your relationship with its owner? And who are you? Lin Chun muttered to himself for a moment, then recounted how he had met the little fairy. Of course, he didn't say anything about Lin Xingchen. The elder's expression changed again and again. In the end, when he heard that the little fairy had been frightened but not in danger, he was relieved. He looked at Lin Chun with an interested gaze, and said with a smile, "Good boy. You're the Black Horse Club Alin Chun who made a bloodbath on the genius list? I didn't expect you to be friends with a young miss. Thought you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.